Worries are even simpler. The resources needed for the next upgrade of these buildings are not only absurdly abundant, but also require silver mines. The problem is, Great Xia still doesn't know what a silver mine looks like. Xia Hong shook his head slightly, casting his gaze on the final black soil wall. Wood, 20 iron can be exchanged for 1 meter. All 50,000 meters exchanged would mean 5 million wood, 1 million iron. Resource: wood 2 million, coal 2.76 million, iron 1.2 million, silver 0, gold 0. It turns out to be impossible to exchange all at once. Looking at the remaining resources in the system, Xia Hong shook his head slightly. The black soil wall's defense capabilities are strong. Before Xia Hong leaves the camp, it must be exchanged, fortunately only lacking wood. The problem shouldn't be too big. The resources in the system can be freely extracted and manifested. There should be plenty of surplus wood in the valley to use. With Great Xia's current ability to acquire wood resources, 3 million shouldn't be too difficult. The valley's terrain is uniquely suited for defense. 50,000 meters might not even be necessary. Some can be allocated to exchange yellow earth and start attempting to transplant those useful vegetation, saving the harvesting department from traveling far to Redwood Ridge and Huayuan to gather fruits. Additionally, bamboo silk from the Arrow bamboo forest can be transplanted to the valley front for easier collection. With the building upgrades completed, Xia Hong began to toast and drink with the people in the hall, simultaneously contemplating how to utilize the remaining resources. Whether for his future cultivation or to gather information about gold and silver mines, this expedition is imperative. Therefore, preparations before setting out naturally must be thorough. Although the Cold Element Festival lasts 15 days, the grand feast cannot go on. This grand feast consumed various resources, causing Qiu Peng, the camp supply department director, to frequently complain to Xia Chuan. If it continues for 2 more feasts, he'd probably curse. However, even though the grand feast ended, the festive atmosphere in Great Xia Valley continued for several days. After the entire camp celebrated, it was time for each household small gatherings. Once the outposts in Huayuan and Jing Valley were established, many hunting team and harvesting department personnel went to these outposts, returning only every few months. Catching this good festival, they naturally gathered well. This celebratory atmosphere continued until the 10th of January. On the night of January 10th, people of Great Xia discovered that the valley's iron gate, originally supposed to be sealed until the 15th of January, had surprisingly opened early. Starting from that night, for the following 3 nights, Xia Hong would lead both the hunting and craftsman departments, totaling over 2,000 people, out of the valley iron gate, busy with unknown activities. Until 5 days later, the first day after the Cold Element Festival, on January 16th of the 2nd year of Great Xia, people who exited the Valley Iron Gate after half a month were amazed to find a giant black soil wall standing on the camp's west side. Is this what the leader has been busy with these days? Oh, this wall must be 10 meters high, right? It's built along the mountain wall, almost reaching Redwood Ridge. Not almost, the front section has clearly extended into Redwood Ridge already. It's true, it has entered Redwood Ridge. I heard that once the valley's land is all sold out, building houses in the future will have to be outside the valley. This wall is so thick, come quickly and see. Follow me, the city gate is on the west side here, come on. Let's go to the west side, the wall is there. The leader seems to be here today as well. The first ones to see the wall mostly belong to the logging realm of the camp. Such a magnificent wall naturally left them awestruck repeatedly. If Xia Chuan hadn't specially sent people to lead the way, they might not have found the city gate. Chapter 450, Chapter 209, Dragon Sparrow Coldblood, Luo Ming's Sense of Loss. A kilometer to the west of the valley, a black city wall running north-south has inserted itself into the eastern outskirts of Redwood Ridge. If someone were to view the entire scene from above, they would see that this wall is not only terrifyingly long, encircling the western outskirts of the Great Xia Valley and extending over 2 kilometers into Redwood Ridge. It is also outrageously thick, 5 meters wide on one side, allowing a dozen people to stand in a line without feeling crowded, and its height is even more astounding, reaching 15 meters, making people standing beneath it appear extremely insignificant. On the western side of the wall there is a wide opening, about 8 meters wide, with the wall above it connected, clearly reserved for a gate. Xia Hong stands above the wall, with Xia Chuan and the 6th department director behind him. Big brother, this wall is amazing. Not only can it automatically piece together and combine, but it can also be layered for added thickness. Yuan Dao and I tried it, and it can withstand even a large-scale intermediate cold beast charge. Xia Chuan's eyes sparkled as he touched the wall, speaking animatedly to Xia Hong. Xia Hong nodded with a smile, surveyed the wall, and said to Zhu Yuan behind him, "Half a month ago, didn't you say that the territory might not be enough? With this large piece of land enclosed by the wall, it should be sufficient, right?" Zhu Yuan smiled and nodded. "More than enough. I estimate that even if the camp's population exceeds 50,000 in the future, it will be more than adequate." Xia Chuan also spoke up at this time. The north and south walls each are 3 kilometers long, the western wall 4 kilometers, encompassing 15 square kilometers of land. Adding the area within the valley, not only 50,000 people, but even 100,000 or more will be sufficient. Upon hearing this, Xia Hong nodded. 15 square kilometers of land, even with 10 by 10 house planning, leaving space for roads and other facilities, could accommodate 10,000 dwellings, with 1 household per dwelling, not just 100,000, but even 3 to 4 times that amount could probably fit. A total of 10 kilometers of wall, with a 5-meter layer capable of stopping a batch of intermediate cold beast rushes. The key is that we've also encircled a large part of Redwood Ridge. Fortunately, it's mainly low to intermediate cold beasts here, otherwise extending the wall in would not have been so easy. Listening to Xia Chuan, everyone slightly nodded. In the past half-month, Xia Hong led them every night to first clear out all the cold beasts on the outskirts of Redwood Ridge, then successfully complete the 10-kilometer wall installation. All right, with this wall, for a long time you all should not have security concerns, but watch out for the Cold Ruins tripod. If it attracts 2 powerful cold beasts, extinguish the flames and hide immediately. Once this city gate is installed, along with the gate at the valley entrance, dual defense plus your combined strength should make breaches unlikely. Everyone slightly nodded at Xia Hong's words. Xia Chuan obviously realized something, and a hint of reluctance appeared on his face. "Have you arranged with Luo Ming that he will wait for me north of Jing Valley?" When Xia Hong asked, Yue Feng immediately stepped forward and replied, "Yesterday night was the first trading day. I had already arranged with him at Jing Valley as per the leader's instructions." Xia Hong nodded with a smile, his face showing joy at meeting a familiar face again. It was a coincidence. 4 months ago someone from Hive Camp came to Jing Valley again, but this time to trade resources with Great Xia. Among the 3 who came was Luo Ming. Hive Camp was evidently aware of Luo Ming's connections in Redwood Ridge, so they used him to pave the way. Luo Ming also knew Yue Feng. With Yuan Dao reporting to the camp and Xia Chuan's personal agreement, the resource trade between Great Xia and Hive Camp naturally commenced. Regarding these trades, Xia Hong certainly did not manage them, and even Xia Chuan now only inquires instead of personally handling them. The first 3 trades with Hive Camp were conducted by Yue Feng, the guardian of Valley, so thus far only he interacted with Luo Ming. Yue Feng hesitated, then spoke to Xia Hong thoughtfully. "Leader, Luo Ming is quite curious about our Great Xia. During the 3 previous trades he frequently inquired, though I evaded his questions. I suspect his situation at Hive Camp is not favorable, if possible." Xia Hong slightly raised an eyebrow, able to discern Yue Feng's underlying implication, to potentially develop Luo Ming into an inside informant for Great Xia within Hive Camp. "Discuss these matters with Xia Chuan. I won't intervene, but be cautious not to be deceived." Next to him, Xia Chuan nodded slightly, lost in thought. "All right, let's end it here. You all return and prioritize installing the city gate. From now on, station guards at the gate. Clear all trees inside the walls and remember to plan separate areas for transplanting and residential space. By the time I return, we can transplant the vegetation from our jurisdiction." This time with the major construction upgrade, Xia Hong didn't do anything about the yellow earth. The reason was simple: resources were running out. Just making the 50,000 meters of wall consumed all resources. Large-scale yellow earth exchange was already insufficient, so Xia Hong decided to wait and address the issue next time at camp. You can also try softening the land with coal stone and transplant some medicinal plants to test. It should be entirely feasible. Chapter 451, Chapter 209, Dragon Sparrow Coldblood, Luo Ming's sense of loss. Xia Chuan nodded, thinking of something, and gave a hinting glance to Mu Dong, the director of the craftsman department at the back. Mu Dong understood and took the two long wooden boxes he was carrying from behind and brought them in front of Xia Hong. "What are these weapons?" One of the wooden boxes was almost 2 meters long, while the other was just over a meter. Seeing the shape of the wooden boxes, Xia Hong could basically guess what they contained. Xia Chuan nodded and stepped forward to open the nearly 2-meter-long box. A long, narrow blade with a length of 1.5 meters and a width of only 2 fingers suddenly appeared before Xia Hong's eyes, causing a touch of surprise to emerge on his face. "Yi blade this is." A regular yi blade wouldn't usually astonish Xia Hong. The key was the dense 1,000 lines of patterns on this yi blade's blade. Xia Hong immediately took out the yi blade, holding it in his hand, and felt its weight of 60 to 70,000 caddies, bringing a glint of light to his eyes. "1,000 forged yi blade, did you manage this recently?" With a smile, Xia Chuan nodded while Mu Dong beside him spoke up. "The leader has to go out, and having a handy weapon is essential. Over 3 months ago, we deployed a group from the earth-digging realm, rotating constantly for more than 100 nights until we finally forged this 1,000 forged yi blade. The weapon classifications of 10 forged, 100 forged, and 1,000 forged aren't overly complex, merely patterns imprinted on iron ore. When regular iron ore is forged into a 10 forged weapon, its weight does not change. However, to imprint more forging patterns, new iron ore must be added and compacted through hammering. A typical 10 forged blade weighs about 600 caddies, 100 forged, 6,000, and 1,000 forged blade over 60,000. The yi blade used by Xia Hong had a narrow blade but a length far surpassing ordinary large blades, so its weight wasn't much different from a regular large blade. "Leader, try opening this other box." Mu Dong at this moment put the second, shorter wooden box in front of Xia Hong, with a slightly mysterious expression, motioning him to open it. An expression of curiosity appeared on Xia Hong's face, and his eyes lit up after opening the box. Inside the wooden box lay a horizontal blade quietly, its blade part only 80 or so centimeters, and together with the grip, just over a meter. The 4 types of Xia blades: Yi, horizontal, barrier, stranger. All blades at the camp are customized to these 4 forms, so a regular horizontal blade wouldn't stand out to Xia Hong. The issue was the blade of this large dagger was a brilliant blood-like red. No, it wasn't an ordinary blood color, but one nearly akin to the texture of blood jade, even more precious and beautiful, making a joyous feeling arise at the mere sight. Half a month ago, Xiang Liang from Hefeng camp in Huayuan offered 5 pieces of cold marrow iron to the leader, and we used 4 pieces to forge this horizontal blade. "Leader, please inspect the forging pattern on the blade." Hearing Mu Dong's words, Xia Hong reached out and took the horizontal blade, and after feeling its weight, a hint of amazement appeared in his eyes, as they narrowed slightly looking at the dense 1,000 forging patterns on the blade. "The weight hasn't changed. How come there are so many forging patterns?" Those 5 pieces of cold marrow iron, Xia Hong had seen them himself, knowing each piece averaged about 100 caddies, and this horizontal blade was forged from 4 pieces, with its 400-plus caddies weight being normal. But how could there be over 1,000 forging patterns? Special material. Sure enough, the moment this suspicion arose in Xia Hong's mind, Mu Dong confirmed it openly. This cold marrow iron must be a special material. When forging the blade mold, after forming 10 forging patterns, we attempted to continue hammering and unexpectedly could imprint new forging patterns. This prompted us to separate into groups and hammer simultaneously, yielding 1,000 forged pattern. It's an unexpected delight. Seeing the 2 wooden boxes also contained inconspicuous wooden scabbards separately for each, warmth grew in Xia Hong's heart. He turned to Xia Chuan and Mu Dong with the others, softly speaking. "You all were thoughtful." Even with a great number of earth-digging realm craftsmen in Great Xia, producing 2,000 forged weapons in such a short span wasn't easy. Xia Hong naturally felt touched. "Leader, please don't say that. This is the least we could do. If after all this time we still couldn't forge you a fitting weapon, our craftsman department truly wouldn't be worth our salt." The crowd couldn't help but chuckle at Mu Dong's words. Mu Dong thought for a moment, then continued. "By the way, leader, these 2 blades still haven't been named. Please give them names." Xia Hong took the yi blade, sheathing it and then strapping it onto his back, before placing the horizontal blade into its sheath and hanging it at his waist. After pondering for a moment, he spoke directly. Dragonfinch Cold Blood. Great Xia Dragonfinch, Great Xia Cold Blood. Cold blood, as its name implies, signifies the blood drinking of the ice abyss cold beast, aligning with the attributes of cold marrow iron, and bestowing upon the horizontal blade the fate of slaying cold beasts. As for the former, although the meaning of the words dragon finch wasn't clear, after murmuring them twice in unison, people found the four words exceptionally smooth and carrying an inexplicable air of dominance. On Xia Hong's side, securing the two blades, he then retrieved a mask from his garments with a vermilion inner layer. Adhering the vermilion side to his face, he instantly transformed into an ordinary man in his early 30s. With the black beast skin cloak donned especially today, standing amidst Xia Chuan and the others, he suddenly became unobtrusive. Chapter 452, Chapter 209, Dragonfinch's Cold Blood and Luo Ming's Sense of Loss /3. Alright, give me your luggage. You can just send it here. Yue Feng, follow me to Jing Valley and then take me to meet Luo Ming. I'm not sure how long I'll be out this time. Remember to watch over the camp, and when I make contact at Hive Camp, if there's an emergency, you can reach me through Luo Ming. Xia Chuan took a large bundle from behind him and handed it to Xia Hong. The bundle contained many bottles and jars, clearly prepared with plenty of supplies. Alright, let's go back. Yue Feng, let's move. Seeing the reluctance in everyone's eyes, Xia Hong shook his head slightly. After calling out to Yue Feng, he jumped off the city gate and headed north, with Yue Feng quickly following behind. 10 miles north of Jing Valley, in the southeast of Pinxi Plain. The midsection of a tree with a diameter of 7 or 8 meters faintly glowed with weak firelight, and if one listened closely, voices could be heard coming from inside. If someone were looking from outside, they would find the midsection of the tree completely hollow, with a tree cavity 3 or 4 meters wide inside, enough to accommodate 3 to 5 people easily. Inside the tree cavity, 2 people sat across from each other around a small fire, occasionally adjusting their postures, indicating they had been sitting for a long time. The 2 people sitting there were none other than Luo Ming and Shang Ping, who had left Redwood Ridge almost 2 years ago. Compared to 2 years ago, both appeared more weathered, with hints of gray hair at their temples, clearly indicating they hadn't been living comfortably. Old Shang, do you think if we propose going back to Redwood Ridge, Xia Hong and the leadership would agree? On the other side of the fire, Shang Ping hesitated upon hearing Luo Ming's inquiry, saying, "Of course they would agree, but once we return, our situation might be awkward, and how would Luo Yuan and the others view us?" Luo Ming's face instantly showed a trace of bitterness upon hearing this answer. Indeed, when he led everyone from Earth-Digging Realm, leaving over 200 people in the camp for Xia Hong and departed from Redwood Ridge. Now going back, not considering how Xia Hong would view him, even the others like Luo Yuan might feel uneasy. Reflecting on the past 3 dealings with Great Xia Camp, Luo Ming's expression turned pensive and lost. Luo Ming wasn't foolish. Although Yue Feng sidestepped his inquiries about Great Xia's current situation 3 times, just from the trade dealings and observable items, he could surmise that Great Xia's power has tremendously increased. Not to mention the massive quantities of bamboo silk, beast meat, cloth and silk, and superior craftsmanship in weapons during their 3 trades. From Yue Feng's personal prowess and the strength of those accompanying him during each trade, it was enough to glimpse the bigger picture. It has not yet been 2 years. Yue Feng, who was at the logging realm before, is now almost on par with me. The growth of Great Xia Camp over these 2 years far exceeds our expectations. Upon hearing Luo Ming's words, Shang Ping shook his head and said, "That's not the main thing. The leader's guarded attitude whenever Xia Hong is mentioned intrigues me more. Even Mirror Immortal Camp has merged into Great Xia. The extent of Xia Hong's prowess probably only the Great Leader, Second Leader, and Commander Chen truly know. If we had known, we shouldn't have taken you and left." Luo Ming fell silent before finishing his sentence. Shang Ping naturally knew what he meant to say, and after thinking it over, chose to remain silent with him. "Forget it, let's not talk about this. Since Yue Feng has finally asked for our help, let's do a good job with this, perhaps in the future." Toot. Before Luo Ming could finish his sentence, 3 long bone whistle sounds came from not far away. He and Shang Ping immediately stood up upon hearing it. "They're here. Let's go, let's greet them." Chapter 453, Chapter 210, Hong Yu Beehive Observation. Luo Ming and his companion descended from the tree hollow, and after walking less than 100 meters towards the direction of the whistle, they saw two black silhouettes by a big tree. "Is that you, Brother Yue Feng?" "It's me." Hearing Yue Feng's familiar voice, Luo Ming immediately led Shang Ping over quickly. Recognizing it was indeed Yue Feng, he finally let down his guard and revealed a smile. "Brother Luo, this is the person I mentioned to you before. His name is Hong Yu." Hearing Yue Feng refer to him, Luo Ming couldn't help but feel a bit nostalgic. In the past at Redwood Ridge, when he and Xia Hong were like brothers, Yue Feng couldn't even get a word in edgewise. Now it seems he's mixed in less favorably. However, he quickly adjusted his mindset and, following Yue Feng's introduction, looked at the man named Hong Yu behind him. Ordinary in appearance, he looked under 30, with a somewhat sallow complexion. He wore a black beast skin cloak and carried two swords, a long one on his back and a short one at his waist. He also had a large pack behind him, bulging with many items inside. As he sized up Hong Yu, he recalled what Yue Feng had told him during last night's trade, and a hint of confusion appeared in his eyes. According to Yue Feng last night, someone in the Great Xia had contracted a rare disease, and only the Longshan camp had a cure. The Great Xia camp would not make a big fuss for one person, so to survive, he had to go out and try to find the cure himself. Located in the central area of the Flimsy Plain, Long Mountain's exact location was known only to those at the hive camp. Moreover, to reach Long Mountain, one had to pass through the hive first. Therefore, Yue Feng sought out Luo Ming, hoping Luo Ming could take the person to sneak into the hive camp to gather information. If he could find the specific location, he would head to Long Mountain himself. Evidently, this unremarkable Hong Yu before him was the patient. Seeing Hong Yu's sallow face, Luo Ming had no doubt regarding his illness. His confusion stemmed from curiosity about how this unremarkable Hong Yu persuaded Yue Feng to seek his help. Judging from the chi muscle movements, Hong Yu's basic strength was only about 20,000 pounds, not significant in the Great Xia. Yue Feng had no reason to help him. While Luo Ming pondered, Hong Yu moved. He walked up to Luo Ming, bowed slightly, and spoke with gratitude. "Brother Luo, thank you for your trouble on this journey." Luo Ming's thoughts were interrupted, and he immediately waved his hand, saying, "It's just a small task. Taking someone to the camp is not too difficult a matter. The key is—" At this point, Luo Ming paused, then hesitantly continued. "I tend to speak directly, so please forgive me, Brother Hong Yu. To be blunt, finding the location of Long Mountain isn't that difficult. Besides the great leader Chen Yingyuan, second leader Wu Tianxing, and hunting team leader Chen Yingba, several captains of the hunting team should know as well. The problem is, even if you find out the exact location of Long Mountain, reaching it alone is nearly impossible. Your strength." "Cough, Brother Luo, there's no need to worry. Before we came, I've already informed him of everything he should be aware of. Hong Yu is prepared. Just take him there, he will handle the rest himself." Hearing Yue Feng's words, Luo Ming couldn't say much more. After all, it was Hong Yu's own choice, and saying more wouldn't be appropriate. "All right, I'll take Brother Hong Yu back. See you next month, Brother Yue." "All right, see you on the trading day next month." After Luo Ming finished speaking, he signaled to Yue Feng and immediately led Shang Ping and Hong Yu northward. Yue Feng stood in place, waiting until he could no longer see the three figures before sighing slightly and muttering a few words before turning back to Jing Valley. "Leader, safe travels." The Flimsy Plain, as the name suggests, is mostly flatland, with only occasional small hills. Trees are scarce, not even comparable to the outskirts of Twin Dragon Valley, let alone Redwood Ridge. Pros and cons always come together. With low vegetation cover, there are naturally fewer cold beasts, and with the wide-open plains, the large cold beasts could be spotted from afar, making it far safer than the mountainous regions. Under the night sky, Flimsy Plain appeared to be covered with a silver carpet with high visibility. Luo Ming, leading the way, was evidently extremely familiar with the terrain, as he frequently found prominent landmarks, sometimes a big tree, other times a giant rock, or perhaps a small hill. Before long, the three of them walked about 10 kilometers north. "Brother Hong Yu, in the Great Xia, you must also be a member of the hunting team, right?" After passing a massive rock with a diameter of 3 meters, Luo Ming led them westward, suddenly turning to the trailing Hong Yu to ask. "Poor Luo Ming, holding it in for so long." Xia Hong chuckled inwardly. On the way, Luo Ming had turned around several times, clearly wanting to speak but forcibly held back. He thought Luo Ming would hold it all the way back to the hive camp. Yue Feng had said before that Luo Ming was very curious about the state of the great Xia, and his inquiries had been brushed off multiple times. Finally encountering a good chance to ask, he naturally wouldn't let it slip by. Xia Hong was prepared and looked up with a smile, replying, "Brother Luo, just call me Hong Yu. I am indeed a member of the hunting team." This Hong Yu doesn't seem as difficult to talk to as he looks. Chapter 454, Chapter 210, Hong Yu Beehive Observation /2. Hearing Xia Hong's answer, Luo Ming immediately showed a smile on his face. "Good for calling me Brother Luo. When we return to the hive camp, I will have your back, so don't worry." After exchanging pleasantries, Luo Ming became bolder and without hiding it directly asked, "Hong Yu, you are from the Redwood Ridge. You should know me, right?" Xia Hong nodded. "I know, Brother Luo was the leader of the Rojal camp before. After the incident with the wood puppet monster, Brother Luo led people away from Redwood Ridge, leaving Twin Dragon Valley to our great Xia camp." Bringing up the past, Luo Ming couldn't help but sigh for a moment, but he quickly adjusted his mindset and said, "It's been 2 years since we left Redwood Ridge, and I don't know how the current state of Great Xia is. The last 3 trades, seeing the amount of goods Yue Feng brought, Great Xia's strength must be terrifying now, right?" Not directly asking, trying to lead me to reveal Great Xia's situation voluntarily. Seeing through Luo Ming's intentions, Xia Hong thought for a moment and spoke directly. "Of course, now our great Xia has a population of over 30,000. Nearly 3,000 are in the earth-digging realm, more in the logging realm, and just hunting teams alone number over 80. There are more than 10 teams capable of hunting intermediate cold beasts, covering an area of 500 to 600 square kilometers. No nearby camp should be a match for our great Xia." Unexpectedly, hearing Xia Hong's words, both Luo Ming and Shang Ping's expressions immediately froze, halting their steps and quickly turning around, looking at him with disbelief. Earth-digging realm, nearly 3,000. 80 hunting teams, more than 10 that can hunt intermediate cold beasts. How is this possible? What, don't believe it? Xia Hong slightly raised an eyebrow, deliberately asked back with a hint of frustration. Luo Ming remained in shock for a long time, but Shang Ping was the first to speak. No, we are just too shocked. Nearly 3,000 in the earth-digging realm. Then to what extent has your leader Xia Hong's power grown? That I am not sure of, even Master Yue Feng. It's hard to meet the leader, let alone me. All right, let's continue moving, we're almost there. After a long time, Luo Ming spoke. After speaking, he took the lead to continue forward. Shang Ping seemed to have thought of something and followed without a word. This means he doesn't believe me. Hong Yu followed the two with a peculiar expression. After thinking for a moment, he roughly guessed Luo Ming's thoughts at the moment. Luo Ming had previously inquired about Great Xia's situation from Yue Feng many times, but was rebuffed, surely thinking that what I just said was at Yue Feng's behest, deliberately spouting nonsense here. Indeed, given the harsh and brutal nature of the Ice Abyss world, in 2 years, it's hard to believe Great Xia has developed to this stage. Unless one sees it with their own eyes, no one would believe it. So Luo Ming's current impression of me should be quite poor. Xia Hong showed a strange smile, then shook his head. So be it, I can't help it, everything I said is true, he just refuses to believe it, what can I do? Luo Ming's curiosity about Great Xia's current state is more due to exploration and reminiscence of old people and places. In contrast, Xia Hong's curiosity about Hive Camp is genuine, without any mixed factors. Judging by the map Luo Ming took out 2 years ago, Hive Camp has existed since Luo Ming's father Luo Feng was young, which means the camp has been established for at least several decades. A camp that has continuously existed and developed for so many years must have accumulated a wealth of valuable survival experience in the Ice Abyss world, along with its unique features. More importantly, Xia Hong is also curious about the overall strength of Hive Camp. Xia Hong, having encountered all 3 in cold resistance level at Hive Camp, and having taught 2 of them a lesson, is still unclear about how many people the camp has, how many are in the earth-digging realm, what hidden tactics are in the camp, what the material situation is, and how its productivity stands. If given the chance, he would naturally want to figure out these questions for future planning. The current activity area of Great Xia is still too small. This outing, besides clarifying the cultivation system of Ice Abyss World, aims to broaden knowledge of different regions and camps, to glean from their strengths to make up for our weaknesses, and become the medium for Great Xia's external communication and enhancement. Communication and exchange are indeed the best way for growth and development. The slow development speed of small and medium camps in Ice Abyss is fundamentally because the harsh environment limits personnel flow, resulting in too little communication between different camps. With Xia Hong now possessing strength, he naturally wants to start solving this issue. With Hive Camp as the first stop, Xia Hong's expectations are naturally high. By directly revealing Great Xia's situation, Xia Hong actually wanted to prevent Luo Ming from continuously asking him for information. Unexpectedly, Luo Ming didn't believe it and inadvertently ended up with a poor impression of him. But once this impression soured, Luo Ming stopped asking. It's like achieving the goal in an indirect way. The three of them proceeded in silence, their pace naturally quickened, and they soon walked another 7 to 8 kilometers to the west. As another huge stone appeared before the three, Luo Ming spoke up. "We're here." Looking at the oval-shaped giant rock with a diameter of more than 5 meters, Xia Hong found nothing and immediately showed a look of curiosity on his face. However, Luo Ming's next actions immediately changed his expression. Seeing Luo Ming walk to the base of the giant stone, he tapped a place 3 times and then said something. Chapter 455, Chapter 210, Hong Yu Beehive Observation /3. Xifeng returning to the nest. "Coming." From beneath the boulder, unexpectedly, a human voice replied. "Rumble." Then beneath that boulder, it was unexpectedly opened from underground. Soon after, a slanted passage leading downward appeared. A face looked up at the three of them from below, the person standing underground holding a torch, smiling at Luo Ming and saying, "I've been waiting for you a long time, come on in." The person who appeared underground was none other than one of the 3 earth-digging realm users who left Redwood Ridge with Luo Ming earlier, Li Bei. Due to previous battles against a pack of frost wolves while migrating, Xia Hong had a deep impression of the 3 who left with Luo Ming, namely Shang Ping, the current Li Bei, and another named Su Kang. While in a daze, Xia Hong didn't forget to follow behind Luo Ming and the others, walking into the passage under the boulder and going down the slanted stone steps. Below the stone steps was a long and narrow passage, with a coal stove lit every 10 meters or so on each side, making it not only bright, but also warmer than outside. "I still need to stand guard here, you go ahead, and this brother is from Great Xia, right? My name is Li Bei, and your name?" "I'm called Hong Yu." Compared to Luo Ming and Shang Ping, Li Bei's reaction upon meeting Xia Hong was much more enthusiastic. With a smile on his face upon hearing Xia Hong's name, he immediately nodded and urged, "Brother Hong Yu, keep up with them. There are many camp passages. It's easy to get lost if you don't follow." Xia Hong turned around to see Luo Ming and Shang Ping walking ahead, and with a nod to Li Bei, he quickly caught up. The camp of the Hive was actually underground. Although neither Luo Ming nor Shang Ping spoke, Xia Hong, observing the wind direction in the passage and some junctions, quickly realized that the underground passage was an extensive network, possibly containing many routes. Moreover, there were places at the ends of some passages where the firelight was intense, indicating human activity. Each passage had markings, sorted from smaller to bigger numbers. After entering, Luo Ming started from passage 27, following progressively smaller numbers, quickly reaching the passage marked as 1. Passage number 1 was the longest, and it was slanted downward. Walking about 100 meters along passage number 1, they finally came to a large iron door, 3 meters high. The iron door was open, and the inner firelight clearly visible. Following Luo Ming and Shang Ping through the door, Xia Hong finally saw the core area of the Hive's camp. Unlike the earlier passages, beyond the iron door was an enormous, open underground space. The entire space stretched over 3 square kilometers horizontally, with the highest vertical height reaching 20 to 30 meters and the lowest over 10 meters. Judging by the few stalactites hanging from the stone ceiling and signs of excavation, this underground space was clearly a mix of natural and man-made. Within the 3 square kilometers were hundreds of buildings, arranged in a circular pattern. At the core stood a giant ironclad building over 20 meters tall, connected to the stone ceiling above. Among the ringed wooden houses were 3 rings of roads leading inward to outward, plus a north-south avenue starting from the tunnel entrance, evidently for internal movement, with many people coming and going at the moment. Here we must be more than 100 meters underground. The hive's camp is in such a secure place, unless discovered by something eerie, hardly any cold beasts would actively come here. This is so safe. Recalling his journey through the passage earlier, Xia Hong couldn't help but admire, estimating the underground depth of the space. No wonder the hive camp had existed for so many years. Who would have thought such a vast underground space lay beneath the seemingly endless Pinksy plain? Apart from the long-tailed rodents faced by Great Xia earlier, according to Xia Hong's current information, there should be very few types of cold beasts underground. Judging from this alone, the safety of the hive certainly surpasses that of Great Xia. Hey, a stranger, Luo Ming, who is this? The entrance was naturally guarded. A group of 5 guards dressed in fabric and beast skin garments, noticeably more advanced than the beast skin clothing Luo Ming wore, undoubtedly held a higher status than Luo Ming. As expected, upon the person in charge questioning, Luo Ming immediately bowed respectfully. Greetings, Lord Chengping. This person is called Hong Yu. He was brought over from a small camp in the east, possessing earth-digging realm cultivation. Having heard of our hive camp's formidable strength, he wishes to join. Seeing his adequate skills, I brought him here. Hearing this, Chengping raised an eyebrow, sizing up Hong Yu from top to bottom, then sneered before nodding. Since he's new, quickly take him to report to Commander Chen. Luo Ming wore a wry smile. Upon hearing this, he promptly nodded respectfully, almost dragging Xia Hong, running inside quickly. Xia Hong looked curious, not understanding why Luo Ming was in such a hurry. But soon he understood. Wait, the kid with those 2 blades, let me have a look first. As Xia Hong turned his head, seeing the greed in Chengping's eyes, he immediately understood why Luo Ming had hurried him along. As it turns out, this gatekeeper Chengping was avaricious. He wanted to see his knives. Though outwardly composed, Xia Hong's heart sank slightly. The 2 knives strapped on his back, hidden within the scabbard, showed nothing unusual, but once drawn it would be a different matter. Especially encountering such a greedy person, he definitely couldn't let him see it. It can't be that it won't stay hidden right upon arrival. Let's see how Luo Ming handles this. Without showing emotion, Xia Hong turned his head, casting a look for help at Luo Ming. Chapter 456, Chapter 211, Elite System Mining and Chengping's Grud. The 2 swords on Xia Hong's back were actually quite noticeable. Yi blade and Heng blade were considered narrow blades, distinctly different from the typical large swords in the Ice Abyss world, and Yi blade was so long it almost matched Xia Hong's height, so it's normal to pay attention when seen. When Luo Ming heard Chengping wanted to look at the sword, his heart immediately skipped a beat, and upon turning back to see Xia Hong's pleading eyes, he knew the swords were important to him and swiftly spoke to Chengping. Sir, people from a small camp can't have anything good. These 2 swords are narrow and thin, clearly made due to insufficient iron mine. Stop babbling, I told you to open it, so open it. Why waste words? Before Luo Ming could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Chengping. Chengping gazed directly at Xia Hong, and seeing his troubled expression, became even more interested in the swords behind him. People from small camps indeed cannot have anything good, but if there is an exception, maybe today he stumbled upon something valuable. The other 4 people on duty with Chengping watched with wicked smiles, clearly understanding his style, all displaying a look of enjoying the spectacle. After being interrupted, Luo Ming's face instantly became ugly, but he seemed apprehensive of Chengping and didn't dare to speak further, just turned to look at Xia Hong with an helpless eye, clearly hoping he would hand over the swords. Seeing the meaning in Luo Ming's eyes, Xia Hong's face gradually darkened. It's impossible to let Chengping see. With his personality, if he actually saw the swords, subsequent trouble is bound to follow, eventually leading to him probably being unable to stay in the beehive. If that's the case. After a long pause, Xia Hong directly turned back to face Chengping, speaking in a low tone. These 2 swords are relics of an old acquaintance, very important to me. I once made a solemn vow, anyone wanting to draw them must kill me first. If you really want to see them, just make a move. As Xia Hong's firm words fell, Chengping's face instantly froze. The 4 people beside him were originally watching the scene, but also changed their expressions. Luo Ming and Chengping were both dumbfounded. Want to see the swords, then kill him first. No one expected Xia Hong would refuse so thoroughly. Cheng Ping's face was stiff for a full 10 breaths before gradually darkening, glaring angrily at Xia Hong, and he stepped closer to him, saying in an unbelievably sinister tone, "Are you threatening me? Do you think I don't dare to kill you?" "I mean no such thing, just speaking the truth. If you don't believe me, you can try it." With a calm expression and poised demeanor, although Xia Hong's tone didn't reveal anger, the unwavering determination in his words left no room for doubt. Everyone present could clearly feel that if Cheng Ping made a move, Xia Hong would definitely fight to the death. "Forget it, Captain. This kid just arrived and doesn't know better. Let him inside. No need for a conflict here. It would be unbecoming if it escalates." "Yes, Captain, just let it go." The four people on duty with Cheng Ping couldn't sit still anymore. All stood up and walked beside Cheng Ping, persuading him. These people's intervention offered a way out, and Cheng Ping's originally unsightly face immediately eased, but his gaze towards Xia Hong still carried deep anger. He stared at Xia Hong for 3 or 4 breaths before letting out a sinister comment. "Consider yourself lucky today, kid. I'll deal with you slowly later." The disturbance caused by the dual swords temporarily passed. Luo Ming and Shang Ping led Xia Hong forward, their expressions unpleasant. Though they didn't say anything, Xia Hong could tell both held some grudges against him. "No need to worry, the fault is mine. Cheng Ping was interested in my swords. If trouble arises, he should only come for me, not involve you too." Upon hearing Xia Hong's words, Luo Ming couldn't help but respond, turning to him with a somewhat helpless look. If they were just ordinary swords, giving them to him wouldn't matter. Cheng Ping's status is not simple. Through Luo Ming's explanation, Xia Hong finally understood why Cheng Ping was so arrogant. Cheng Ping has a sister named Cheng Mei, who is hunter group leader Chen Yingba's woman, currently favored. Guarding the gate at the beehive is a lucrative position, obtained by Cheng Ping through his sister's pillow talk. Guarding the city gate isn't particularly significant, but it allows control over others. Cheng Ping has agreed for wealth, leveraging his sister's relationship. Besides the elite team, he dares to extort anyone entering the camp. When Luo Ming previously returned leading a hunting party, prey also had to be offered to Cheng Ping. Some went to report him, but it always ended unresolved, everyone eventually knowing Cheng Ping was untouchable and simply gave up. Luo Ming's explanation left Xia Hong frowning repeatedly. "The cold beasts you hunt outside, aren't they managed and distributed uniformly by the camp upon return? So many are exploited, but the higher-ups do nothing." Upon Xia Hong's inquiry, realizing he was new and unaware, Luo Ming decided to roughly introduce the management model of Hive Camp. The management model of Hive Camp can be simply summarized as an elite system. As its name implies, an elite system centers around core elites with almost everyone in the camp serving them. Chapter 457, Chapter 211, Elite System Mining and Cheng Ping's Grudge, Part 2. The Hive Camp has more than 30,000 people, with the most core and important part naturally being the hunting team led by Chen Yingba. The team consists of over 700 people, all at the earth-digging realm, forming more than 30 smaller hunting teams. Among these 700 people, only a bit over 100 have obtained elite status. Elite members have everything covered by the higher-ups, including clothing, food, living expenses, cultivation needs, even servants and women. They only need to focus on cultivation and can control their hunting frequency, going out when they want and staying when they don't. They only need to follow the orders of the captain and the 2 leaders, making them the most valuable group in the hive. A bit over 100. Xia Hong frowned and asked, "Only a bit over 100. The entire hive camp has over 30,000 people, plus there are over 600 earth-digging realm members to support them. It should be easy to sustain a bit over 100 people. Even if they don't go out hunting, it shouldn't consume much beast meat, right? They might not need much, but their families, followers, even servant women would need quite a lot." With that explanation, Xia Hong immediately understood. It's obvious without even guessing that the so-called elite system was initially intended to select the camp's best elites, who would focus on cultivation and enhancing their strength, while the others provided for them. The elites would then take on the duty of guarding the camp, ensuring the safety of others. This system, when it first started, probably still functioned quite reasonably. However, from Luo Ming's tone as he spoke, it's clear that this system has started to change its nature. It's not surprising. These over 100 elites have likely formed a community of shared interests, essentially becoming an aristocratic class within the hive, where the others can only live well by attaching themselves to this group. So what is the method for obtaining elite status? Upon hearing this question, Shang Ping couldn't help but interject. First, the basic strength must exceed 30,000 pounds. Then, you need the joint recommendation of 8 elite members. Finally, it must be reported to the captain, who will consult the great leader and the second leader for approval before it is granted. Xia Hong was suddenly at a loss for words, a look of bewilderment appearing on his face. This blocks any upward mobility entirely. How has such a system operated in the hive for so many years? Seeing the incredulity on Xia Hong's face, Luo Ming showed a helpless smile and said, "It's actually not hard to understand. Once you understand the specific makeup of those over 100 elites in the camp, you'll know." Xia Hong lowered his head in thought for a moment, then suddenly realized the key point. Those over 100 elites are all relatives of the 3 leaders. Even if they're not blood relatives, they have marital ties, correct? Luo Ming and Shang Ping's expressions changed slightly. While surprised by Xia Hong's keen insight, they both nodded, confirming his suspicion. The hive has a total of 162 elites, which can actually be considered 162 de facto elite families. These 162 people are all intricately connected, with the vast majority having ties to the Chen family and Wu family. Even if there are no connections, daughters will be forcibly married off as concubines to the 3 leaders to form attachments, thus making the elite system even more established and unshakable. After Luo Ming finished speaking, Shang Ping immediately let out a cold laugh and said, "Each year, they symbolically grant 1 or 2 elite statuses, but those who ultimately succeed in advancing are not the sons-in-law of those elite families or their followers and retainers, basically having nothing to do with people like us." With this, Xia Hong roughly understood the situation. As expected, these elite families band together, not only colluding to form an interest group, blocking the advancement of others, but certainly also endorsing each other and making the elite status circulate only within their own circles through hereditary means. Cheng Ping, along with his sister Cheng Mei, must be members of elite families. Otherwise, how would they have such audacity? The hunting team composed of elite families only consists of 6 teams, and they can take all their hunted spoils for themselves. The other 28 hunting teams must submit half of their hunted spoils, including iron and coal mines and all other resources. In the long run, the members of those elite families naturally have much more strength and hunting experience than us. In the subsequent series of competitions, we can't compete with them, and it's only natural. Xia Hong heard this and fell silent, eventually just shaking his head without speaking. Such an operational model, although making those elite families comfortable, is undoubtedly detrimental to the development of the hive camp. No wonder the hive has existed for so many years, but still hasn't developed. If Chen Yingyuan isn't foolish, he should be able to see the drawbacks, but the problem is he and his family, along with a series of marital connections, are all beneficiaries of this system. Self-reform, how difficult it is. Xia Hong turned his head to look at Luo Ming, a look of sympathy appearing on his face. Luo Ming's basic strength has already reached the limit of 30,000 pounds. According to the rules of the hive camp, he has the qualifications to advance as an elite. But judging by his stance in front of Cheng Ping just now, obviously, this matter for him is also a long and distant goal. If he were younger, he could still marry into an elite family, and after some time, he might eventually rise up. But given his age and the fact that he has a child, and considering Li Bei, Su Kang, and Shang Ping are all with him, it's probably very difficult for him to integrate into that elite group. Chapter 458, Chapter 211, Elite System Mining and Cheng Ping's Grudge, Part 3. For a moment, Xia Hong could mostly guess Luo Ming's situation at the hive. "Hong Yu, I agreed to bring you here at Yue Feng's request, considering we're both from Redwood Ridge. But as you see, I've only been at the hive for 2 years and my status here isn't high. I fear I won't be able to help you much with what's coming. Once you register with the hunting team, the rest will be up to you." Luo Ming spoke these words, and Shang Ping beside him wanted to say something but stopped, seemingly having thought of something, finally just sighed slightly without speaking. Seeing the troubled expressions on their faces, Xia Hong didn't say much, just nodded gently with a smile and said, "Brother Luo has helped me this much, and Hong Yu is already deeply grateful. I don't dare to trouble you any further. Just take me to register with the hunting team, thank you." Luo Ming nodded and said no more, leading Xia Hong inside. The underground buildings of the hive are arranged in a circular pattern, with the core building in the middle area. Xia Hong quickly followed Luo Ming to the door of the tallest building in the center. The hunting team is on the second floor, follow me. Xia Hong looked up at the 5-story building, over 20 meters high, feeling a slight stir in his heart. He glanced at the top floor before following Luo Ming up. Entering the building, Xia Hong found that the entire 5-story structure was made of pure iron, with wooden flooring only on the ground level. Inside, a coal stove was lit every 5 meters, brightly illuminating with many people coming and going. Coal, iron, beast meat, beast bone, beast skin. The first and second floors should partly be storage rooms. There's the sound of blacksmithing, cutting, and woodworking on the third floor, indicating it's a functional layer, similar to the wooden buildings of the Great Xia. On the fourth floor, there are people practicing boxing, but not many, probably a place for members of the elite families to cultivate. On the fifth floor, the hive should only have 3 cold resistance levels. How come there's an extra presence? With his skin perfectly remolded, Xia Hong's perception was unlike before. Within a 200-meter radius, unless someone of the same level deliberately hid it, he could detect any subtle movements clearly. He wasn't much interested in most of the happenings within the building. It was only the presence on the 5th floor, that 4th cold resistance level, that piqued his curiosity. Chen Yingyuan Wu Tianxing, Chen Yingba, according to Yuan Dao, the hive was supposed to only have these 3 cold resistance levels. Who was this extra one? Could it be that the hive camp had a hidden hand? This question would have to be explored slowly later on. Xia Hong quickly finished registering with Luo Ming. An ordinary earth-digging realm joining the camp naturally didn't require the leader Chen Yingba to appear in person. It was just a standard registration for Xia Hong by an ordinary earth-digging realm. Hong Yu, 28 years old, earth-digging realm, basic strength of 26,000. By rules, you automatically become a member of the hunting team. Does any hunting team want you? Hearing the inquiry from the registration clerk, Xia Hong hesitated briefly, then shook his head. None. The person was taken aback upon hearing, then looked up towards the door, seeing Luo Ming and Shang Ping already walking away, and suddenly wore a strange expression. With no hunting team wanting you, you'll have to go mining first. The iron mine is just short of people lately. You can report there tomorrow. The minimum daily quota is 100 pounds of iron ore. Once you join a hunting team and complete the beast meat submission requirements, you'll only have a 10-day mining quota each month. Only then did Xia Hong realize what Luo Ming meant by saying he had to rely on himself later. It turned out he didn't want him in his hunting team, and thus said so. Luo Ming must have seen that he had just offended Cheng Ping, worrying that bringing him into his hunting team would lead to trouble later from Cheng Ping. Xia Hong frowned but didn't blame Luo Ming. After all, he had managed to get into the hive camp with much difficulty, and he didn't have time to waste on mining. Do I have to join a hunting team? Can I create one myself? The clerk was slightly stunned by the question, then looked at Xia Hong and replied with a bit of teasing. You could, but you need to get 3 people. Come register together with me, and then submit 3 low-level cold beasts to be considered successful. During this time, you still have to submit your required daily mining quota. Understood. What about my accommodation? It's over in the mining area. Just take passage 19 and you'll get there. There'll be someone in charge of supervising. Just go there directly. A newcomer can't even secure a place to stay. An earth-digging realm still has to squeeze into the mining area to live. Xia Hong shook his head internally but said nothing further, turning to leave the building and heading towards the entrance. Kid, heading to the mining area, aren't you? As Xia Hong reached the doorway, he was stopped by Cheng Ping. Seeing the malicious grin on his face, Xia Hong just frowned and moved past him, continuing outward. I'll give you another chance. Hand over those 2 knives on your back. If I speak for you, Luo Ming will definitely accept you. How about it? Stopped once again, Xia Hong was quickly losing patience. This time he chose not to hold back, looked straight at Cheng Ping and said, If you indeed have some big backing, why not just make a move against me here? I'm not as strong as you anyway. Kill me and you can take the 2 knives. If you don't dare, then get out of my way. Those last words, get out, were emphasized by Xia Hong, practically shouting at Cheng Ping, catching the attention of quite a few onlookers. Cheng Ping's face turned a livid red, his chest heaving with anger. Even though he put his hand on his knife's hilt 2 or 3 times, he didn't dare draw it. Seeing more and more people watching, he could only bite his lip and move to the side, speaking in a low, sinister voice to Xia Hong. "Scum, remember to keep one eye open while you sleep in the mining area tonight. I'll be waiting for you." Xia Hong replied nonchalantly with 4 words, stepping outside the door. Cheng Ping stood there, glaring with a sinister and spiteful expression at Xia Hong's retreating figure, clearly contemplating how to deal with this newcomer who had crossed him twice already. Chapter 459, Chapter 212, Dispute Can't Hold It. After 2 years in the beehive, Luo Ming hadn't attained elite status, but he was living quite comfortably. Not only did he have his own independent dwelling in the hive main zone, but the 11 others who initially came with him also resided together with him. Leaving the hive main building, Luo Ming and Shang Ping walked home in silence. "Father, Uncle Ping, you're back." Seeing his younger son Luo Cheng, Luo Ming's face immediately lit up with a smile. Luo Cheng, at 10 years old, was already as sturdy as a young calf. His thick, coarse clothes were even better than what Luo Ming and Shang Ping wore, and with the 10-forged knife in his hand, it was clear that his life in the beehive was quite comfortable. "Father, Uncle Ping, my basic strength has reached 4,800. I reckon it'll only be a few days before I break through to the logging realm." Hearing Luo Cheng's words, Luo Ming immediately darted forward, grabbed his arm, pinched it for a while, and his smile grew even wider. "Good, good, good. The beast meat hasn't been wasted on you. Keep it up and strive to break through to the logging realm before you turn 11. That marriage arrangement with the Duan family will be even more secure." Hearing about the marriage, Luo Cheng instinctively showed a hint of resistance, but seeing the excitement on his father's face, he forced a smile and nodded. Shang Ping, noticing Luo Cheng's resistance, didn't say much but just stepped forward, patted his shoulder and said with a smile, "Zio Cheng, go play inside first. I need to discuss something with your father." Luo Cheng nodded and went inside. Luo Ming seemed to have a premonition and led Shang Ping to the main hall of the house, sat down, and directly said, "You want to ask why I didn't include Hong Yu in our squad, right?" Shang Ping first nodded, then sighed. "I know you're wary of Cheng Ping, but Hong Yu is new here. If we don't take him in, other squads will be even less likely to do so. Now he's gone to the iron mine, and given Cheng Ping's vengeful nature, he's bound to find trouble in another way. Who knows what might happen then? Wouldn't it be hard to explain if Yue Feng found out?" Upon hearing the last sentence, Luo Ming's brow furrowed, but he quickly regained his composure, saying that Hong Yu does have some ability, but he's just a sickly person with a stubborn temper. Offending Cheng Ping upon arrival wasn't a good move. Taking him in wouldn't benefit us. When Yue Feng asked for our help, he said we just needed to bring him into the beehive. Everything else was up to him, so even if Yue Feng found out, it wouldn't be a big deal. Shang Ping recalled Yue Feng's previous words and nodded slightly. "Big brother, what about Hong Yu?" Just as Luo Ming was about to speak, Li Bei suddenly burst in excitedly from outside, asking about Hong Yu's whereabouts. Shang Ping immediately stepped forward and recounted the previous events, including the offense to Cheng Ping upon entering, and how Luo Ming didn't include him in the squad, leaving him to be assigned to the iron mine area. The more Li Bei listened, the uglier his face became. When Shang Ping finished, he immediately shouted at Luo Ming, "Big brother, how could you do this?" Luo Ming's brow furrowed as he looked up at Li Bei, remaining silent for a long while. Li Bei's reaction was something Luo Ming had anticipated. Among the 3 earth-digging realm individuals brought to the beehive, Li Bei had the deepest attachment to Redwood Ridge, even suggesting several times to return there. Upon learning that Jing Valley had become part of Great Xia, and that Great Xia had become strong enough to trade equally with the beehive, Li Bei was the happiest. He was also aware of Yue Feng's request for Luo Ming's help, so he was overjoyed when he brought Hong Yu back. Upon learning that Luo Ming let Hong Yu be assigned to the iron mine to avoid offending Cheng Ping, Li Bei's anger was entirely understandable. Hong Yu is ill and terminally so. Who knows what crazy things he might do to survive? Offending Cheng Ping so thoroughly, taking him in wouldn't benefit us, so I can't. Benefits, benefits, must we always have benefits to do things? Li Bei suddenly interrupted Luo Ming, continuing in a disappointed tone. "Back at Redwood Ridge, during hunts, you always said we had to go all out to survive the ice abyss. Hesitation just meant no success. Did you forget?" Luo Ming's expression froze upon hearing those words. "If you want to talk benefits, let's talk benefits. Hong Yu was personally sent by Yue Feng. Someone who can get Yue Feng to help surely holds a high position in Great Xia. Can't you see, big brother, that Hong Yu is our best opportunity to reconnect with Great Xia? Perhaps through him, we might return to Redwood Ridge one day. Li Bei grew increasingly agitated, continuing, setting aside benefits in Yue Feng's face, even considering that Hong Yu, like us, hails from Redwood Ridge, big brother, you shouldn't let him be sent to the iron mine. If Yue Feng or people from Great Xia find out, how will we face going back to Redwood Ridge? Luo Ming's face darkened and he said solemnly, Bei, don't act on impulse. We're just one step away from ascending to elite status, firmly establishing ourselves in the hive camp. There's no need to offend Cheng Ping at this time. Elites, can't you see, big brother, that this so-called elite system in the hive camp is merely a method for the Chen family to keep domestic slaves? Chapter 460, Chapter 212, Dispute Can't Hold It, Part 2. That Cheng Ping is only arrogant in front of us. Didn't his sister obediently become Chen Yingba's concubine? Those elite families, which one isn't a watchdog of the Chen family, trying every day to send women to the two brothers and flatter them. Such trash, calling them elites, I spit on them. Seeing Li Bei's voice getting louder, Shang Ping listened in shock and quickly went to close the door. He was about to tell Li Bei to keep his voice down, but then Li Bei continued speaking. Do you really think that by marrying Cheng to the Duan family, that Duan Xing will help persuade the other 7 families to jointly recommend you? Don't be naive. Last year and the year before, weren't 3 elites the descendants of those elite families? Even with an arranged marriage, they will wait a generation or 2 before granting the promotion qualifications. You should know well enough that even if Cheng marries into the Duan family, he will have to work diligently for them for at least a decade before having any real opportunity for promotion, right? Luo Ming's silence was testimony enough to Li Bei's harsh truths. Shang Ping beside him opened his mouth, but ended up saying nothing. What Li Bei said was harsh, but it was an undeniable reality. Besides, the woman sent by the Duan family for the marriage clearly looks down on Cheng and us. Have you asked Cheng if he's willing to marry her? Even if the marriage is arranged, we'll still have to bow our heads in submission afterward. What's the point? What exactly are you trying to say? Upon hearing Luo Ming's inquiry, Li Bei looked him straight in the eye and spoke. My intention should be clear to you, older brother. The beehive isn't a good place. Never mind comparing it to Great Xia. In terms of strength, it's even inferior to our Rojal camp. Staying here, our best outcome would be becoming slaves of the Chen family. Returning to Redwood Ridge, returning to Great Xia, is our best path forward. The last sentence was spoken by Li Bei with decisive clarity, rendering Luo Ming and Shang Ping silent for a long time. Big brother, regardless of what you think, this Hong Yu is our best chance to return to Great Xia. I must seize it. Given Cheng Ping's nature, the mining area must have plans on how to deal with Hong Yu. Maybe as soon as day breaks, they'll send someone after him. I need to go bring him over. After Li Bei finished speaking, he immediately turned and left the room, obviously heading to the mining area to find Hong Yu. Luo Ming got up to call him back, but opened his mouth and couldn't get the words out. Shang Ping beside him also didn't know what to say and eventually just sighed. Uncle He, wait for me. Li Bei had just walked out the door and hadn't reached the passageway when someone stopped him. Little Cheng, why are you here? Turning around, he saw his nephew Luo Cheng, and Li Bei's expression shifted in surprise. Luo Cheng walked up to Li Bei, hesitated slightly and said, Uncle He, I want to go with you to find Hong Yu. Li Bei paused upon hearing this, seeing the hesitation on Luo Cheng's face. He immediately realized that Luo Cheng must have overheard his conversation inside with Luo Ming. Little Cheng, this is between your father and me. You don't need to get involved. Luo Cheng showed a worried look and said, Uncle He, I don't want to marry into the Duan family, nor do I want to stay in the beehive camp. I want to return to Great Xia. Li Bei was startled and hadn't yet responded before Luo Cheng continued speaking. I remember the leader of the Great Xia camp, Xia Hong. When the wood puppet monster turmoil occurred 2 years ago, he saved us. I recall his strong abilities and good nature. Will definitely be happier returning to Redwood Ridge than staying here. Looking at the still somewhat youthful face of Luo Cheng, Li Bei felt a pang of heartache. It was clear that Luo Cheng wouldn't dare say these things to Luo Ming. Li Bei knew well that Luo Ming's changes over the years were ultimately for paving the way for his youngest son, Luo Cheng, but he never considered what Luo Cheng really wanted. Luo Cheng was an obedient child, empathetic to his father's intentions, and never willing to speak these things to Luo Ming. He only focused on cultivation to avoid disappointing him. "All right, little Cheng, I'll take you to find him." Considering that Hong Yu's status in Great Xia likely isn't low, taking Luo Cheng to meet him and leaving an impression wouldn't be a bad thing. So Li Bei nodded, took Luo Cheng along, and headed towards the mining area. Our beehive has a total of 4 iron mines, interconnected through underground tunnels after years of mining. The 4 mining areas are essentially adjacent, only differing in mining entrances, with 8 in total. You're new here, so you've been assigned to the 8th area. There are 8 numbered tunnels over there. It's about dawn now, so you should sleep first. When the night falls, someone will call you to receive a pickaxe, and then you can follow the team over. After exiting the 19th tunnel, there is a large space about 100 meters in diameter. Besides a wooden house by the entrance, the stone walls in the southeast and west directions have hundreds of small caves lined up, likely for miners to reside in. The north side has 8 tunnels, marked from 1 to 8, evidently the entrances to the mining areas. Xia Hong was standing at the wooden house entrance as the supervisor explained the precautions to him, and pointed to a small stone chamber on the west, indicating that Cave 93 would be his residence. Why isn't there much foot traffic in the 8th tunnel? It was soon going to be daylight, according to the Ice Abyss schedule. It was time to sleep. Therefore, many miners were returning through the tunnels, but Xia Hong observed for a while and noticed that the vast majority were returning from the first 7 tunnels. Few people came back from the 8th tunnel, which piqued his curiosity. Chapter 461, Chapter 212, Dispute Can't Hold It. The man heard the voice and showed a hint of sympathy on his face, saying, "Bro, you're new here, right? Did you offend someone? Mining zone number 8 is newly developed, and there are often silverback rats popping out. It's not very safe. Except for those who have committed crimes and outsider slaves, rarely does anyone else get assigned there." Xia Hong slightly furrowed his brows and turned to look at the 3 people sitting in the wooden house. They were all looking at him with teasing expressions, and he immediately understood what was going on. This Cheng Ping acting so quickly. "Kid, listen to my advice. The one who got you arranged here probably has quite a bit of power. Better submit and lower your head. It's hard enough to cultivate to the earth-digging realm. Being trapped in the mining zone is one thing, but going to a place like mining zone number 8, where you could die at any moment, is not worth it." "Thanks, but I'm going back to sleep now." The guy leading the way was just following orders, and Xia Hong didn't feel like saying much to him. He clasped his fists and headed towards Cave 93. As Xia Hong passed by the entrances of other caves, he sensed slightly. Most of the caves in the front were single rooms, and he could vaguely see that there were quite a few facilities inside, and the environment seemed quite good. They should be where normal earth-digging realm cultivators of the beehive resided while mining. Starting from Cave 80 onward, the caves were not good. They were multi-person rooms, and the facilities inside were simple, and the environment was poor. No surprise, it's just as that person said earlier. Those who committed crimes, outsider slaves, and those like himself who offended big figures would be assigned to these caves further back. Cave 93. As soon as Xia Hong walked in, he was stared at by 7 pairs of eyes. The 7 had shackles on their feet. 5 of them had unfriendly expressions, while the other 2 looked at him with some sympathy and quickly turned their backs to continue sleeping. Even these slaves can greet. This Cheng Ping truly has some skill. It seems that what this person knows won't be little either. With an indifferent expression, Xia Hong walked to an empty wooden bed in the cave, detached the somewhat longy blade from his body, placed it against the stone wall, and then rested the horizontal blade on his lap, leaning against the wall. He started closing his eyes to rest. This kind of bed he definitely couldn't lie down on. He could only lean against the wall and close his eyes to rest. "Kid, that knife of yours looks nice. Let me take a look." Xia Hong had just closed his eyes when someone woke him up. The 5 with unfriendly expressions had already all walked towards him, led by a man with a scar on the left side of his face, wearing a sinister expression, directly pointing at the blade leaning against the wall, indicating he wanted to see the knife. "Feel free to look, take it yourself." Hearing Xia Hong's words, the leader's expression was immediately stunned. The expressions of the 4 behind him were also blank for a moment. Wasn't it just said that this kid treats his 2 knives as lifelines, and he would fight with anyone who wanted to see them? Letting them just take it like this, what is this? Wang Hun thought for a long time and could only conclude that his own ferocity must have intimidated this youngster, making him so compliant. This kid is sensible, but a bout of humiliation is inevitable. Play with his knife a bit first and wait for Cheng Ping to bring people over. Wang Hun laughed inwardly, walked over to Xia Hong's bed, and directly reached out to grasp the Yi blade leaning against the wall, trying to tug it towards himself. However, the moment his arm exerted force, Wang Hun's expression was instantly stunned. That slender Yi blade, barely 1.7 meters long, remained motionless against the wall. The next second, Wang Hun found it hard to believe. He exerted his arm, his face gradually turning red, even adding an extra hand. Yet the Yi blade still didn't move an inch. "Boss, what's wrong?" "What's going on is the knife stuck on something." Seeing the situation, the four behind him all thought something was wrong and asked questions. One even thought the blade was stuck on something and stepped forward to check. At this moment, Wang Hun seemed to realize something, looked down, and met Xia Hong's icy gaze. Cold sweat appeared on his forehead. "What, can't move it? Let me help you." Xia Hong extended a finger, lightly flicked the Yi blade. Bang! Chapter 462, Chapter 213, News from Long Mountain, Ecstasy and Riot. The beehive's base is underground and relies on lamp lighting at all times. However, during the day everyone is asleep, so there's no need for so many light sources. Therefore, during the day, most of the lights are extinguished, leaving only a few for illumination. The mining area is the same. Cheng Ping, full of rage, stormed through Passage 19 with 4 subordinates, rushing to the mining area, not even bothering to greet the person in charge, and directly headed towards Cave 93. Evidently, it was Xia Hong who arranged for him to stay at Cave 93. That bastard dared to embarrass me in public. I want to see just how precious those 2 knives are. As for Hong Yu, being someone Luo Ming brought along, he has no backing. Killing him wouldn't be a big deal. It's fitting that he's here, assigned to Mining Area 8, and encountering a silverbacked rat to never return is just too normal. Wang Hun isn't easy to deal with. Probably by now, that kid has taken quite a beating. Hearing his subordinate's words, Cheng Ping's expression gradually became excited. Just then he arrived at the entrance of Cave 93, and he directly pushed the door and walked in, with a fierce grin on his face, speaking. "Wang Hun didn't kill anyone, did you?" It was daytime and the cave was unlit, thus it was pitch black upon entering. Cheng Ping and his crew couldn't see inside the cave, and no one replied, leaving them momentarily stunned. "Light it up." At Cheng Ping's command, the 4 behind him immediately went to ignite the stone wall of the cave. Boom! The fire blazed, revealing the scene inside the cave. Cheng Ping and his crew were instantly dumbfounded. Inside the cave, 6 people were kneeling side by side in front of a bed, with another pinned to the ground by a long knife, face flushed red. It was clear he wanted to struggle, yet feared something, remaining motionless. On the bed, sitting cross-legged, was someone whose bright eyes under the firelight were fixed on the 5 of them. Who else could it be but Hong Yu? "Wang Hun, what's going on?" Cheng Ping instinctively asked, but as soon as he spoke, a chill ran up his spine as he turned quickly to flee. He and his 4 subordinates reacted fast, even though they couldn't fathom why the cave scene was like this. They vaguely sensed that this Hong Yu wasn't as simple as he appeared, so they turned to escape quickly. Unfortunately, how could their speed compare to Xia Hong? "Didn't you want to see the knives? Here, take a look." As Xia Hong finished speaking, he gently kicked with his foot, sending the Yi blade which pinned Wang Hun, flying directly towards Cheng Ping and his crew. Whoosh! A fierce wind struck from behind before Cheng Ping could react, being slammed to the ground by immense force. His bones let out a few crisp sounds, unable to utter a word for a long while. Struggling to turn his head, he realized that 2 of the slowest to escape had their bodies smashed apart by the Yi blade, dying instantly. He and the other 2 weren't hit by the Yi blade but were crushed by the residual force from the 2 corpses. Cheng Ping didn't recognize Mount Tai / "Spare me, my lord, spare me." / an idiom meaning ignorance. Just the knife kicked out, brutally killed 2 individuals with basic strength over 20,000 pounds, and the residual force from their corpses even reduced him and the other 2 to this state. Even as dense as Cheng Ping is, he realized at this moment that Hong Yu was not someone he could afford to offend. Enduring the severe pain from his bones, He struggled to rise and knelt before Xia Hong, continuously kowtowing and begging for mercy. Seizing the moment, he glanced at the two beside him, noticing they were already dead from the residual force, identical to the two directly hit by the Yi blade. This undoubtedly terrified him even more, hastening his kowtowing and begging. "Shut up, you come over here, and the 7 of you clean up the bodies." Just released from being pinned by the large knife, Wang Hun moved quickest, immediately rising to clean up the 4 corpses on the ground, with the other 6 following suit. Cheng Ping, almost crawling, moved before Xia Hong, dare not even raise his head, and didn't dare to wipe the blood flowing from his mouth. Seeing Cheng Ping's frantic and fearful look, Xia Hong smirked coldly. If Cheng Ping didn't have some value for questioning, he would have exerted full force, and that kick would kill even if 10 Cheng Pings came. With such a minor character, Xia Hong disdained to waste words, directly questioning. "Let me ask you, which camps does Beehive usually have dealing relationships with?" "I know of 6, namely camps Wushuang, Zhejiang, Hankyang in the north, Yanglu, Yucheng in the west, and Great Xia in the southeast. Longyu has 12 camps in total, excluding the alliance hierarch Long Mountain and Beehive, leaving 10. Naming 5 camps upon asking, a subtle gleam appeared in Xia Hong's eyes. "Do you know the exact locations of these 5 camps?" "This, I'm not sure. I only know their general direction." Xia Hong didn't hesitate, directly pulling out a piece of beast skin from his bag, handing Cheng Ping a coal stone, saying, "Mark their general locations." Cheng Ping, evidently resigned, took the coal pen, and obediently marked the approximate positions of the 5 camps. "What do you know about Long Mountain?" After collecting the beast skin roll, Xia Hong continued questioning. "Long Mountain is west of Pinxi Plain, approximately more than 50 kilometers from here. Longshan Camp is the alliance hierarch of Longyu, with all 11 camps east of Pinxi Plain honoring Longshan Camp, our Beehive included." Chapter 463, Chapter 213, News from Long Mountain, Ecstasy and Riot, Part 2. Upon hearing this response, Xia Hong's brow furrowed and he said coldly, "Tell me everything you know. I'll verify it with others later. If I find out that you're lying or hiding something, your life will be." Before Xia Hong could finish his sentence, Cheng Ping, desperate to save his life, had already started talking. "The Longshan camp has over 70,000 people. The alliance hierarch is called Li Tianhua, and he is considered the nominal ruler of Longyu. The 11 camps in Longyu provide him with millions of pounds of iron ore and coal stone annually. It's rumored that Li Tianhua is just one step away from breaking through to the visible Yang realm. Under him are the 8 great Vajra, all of whom are strong at the cold resistance level, each not inferior to our great leader. Longshan Camp alone has hundreds of hunting teams, and there is also a specialized army of 1,000, dedicated to patrolling the territory with immense power. Every mid-April, there is a Long Mountain League meeting where the leaders of the 11 camps gather. It's said that there's an opportunity to receive Li Tianhua's personal guidance." Cheng Ping, like a bamboo tube pouring out beans, spilled everything he knew, although much of it was prefixed with "it's said," suggesting he had gathered much of his information through hearsay. This was to be expected. His basic strength was just 29,000, not quite reaching the 3,000-pound limit, so his status in the camp was not high. The fact that he could relay so much about Long Mountain was already commendable. A camp with a population over 70,000, Li Tianhua just a step away from the Xianyang level, the 8 great Vajra, hundreds of hunting teams, and a dedicated 1,000-man army for patrolling. The sheer power of Long Mountain left Xia Hong somewhat alarmed upon first hearing of it. The key was that it was just one camp. Considering that Long Mountain governed all of Longyu, the remaining 11 camps would probably have to follow Li Tianhua's orders under normal circumstances, making Li Tianhua's influence even more astounding. "Wushuang, Zhejiang, Hankyang, Yanglu, Yucheng, how strong are these 5 camps and how much do you know? Tell me what you know." Hearing Xia Hong inquire about the strength of these 5 camps, deliberately omitting the last great Xia camp, Cheng Ping, who had been keeping his head down, trembled slightly, but soon adjusted his mindset and responded. "I don't know the specifics, but the strength of 4 camps is about the same as ours at the Beehive camp. Their populations range between 30 to 40,000, with each having 2 to 3 cold resistance level experts. Only Zhejiang camp has grown extremely rapidly over the past few years, now the strongest. I heard last time that the cold resistance level experts of Zhejiang have surpassed 10, second only to Longshan camp." Hearing this, Xia Hong raised an eyebrow, and a thoughtful expression appeared on his face. The internal dynamics of the Long-Yu alliance seemed quite intriguing. My lord, that's all I know. Cheng Ping is willing to serve the Lord in the future, just pleading for the Lord to spare my life, please spare me. After Cheng Ping finished speaking, he saw Xia Hong in deep thought, assuming that Xia Hong was considering how to deal with him. Afraid that Xia Hong might harm him, he began to plead incessantly. Shut up. Xia Hong coldly interrupted his pleading, then continued his contemplation. The main purpose of this trip was to find someone to understand the follow-up cultivation methods for the cold resistance level. From the content Cheng Ping just revealed, Long Mountain undoubtedly seemed to be the perfect place. It said there's a chance to get personal guidance from Li Tianhua. Even if he had only heard hearsay, there was some basis to it. If Li Tianhua was indeed magnanimous enough to offer guidance to leaders of other camps, Xia Hong naturally wouldn't want to miss it. The question was, in what capacity would he go there? He couldn't just rush over to Li Tianhua and ask for guidance, could he? Considering that the 12 camps had formed an alliance, it was evident that the people of Long-Yu were highly xenophobic. Approaching as a stranger was probably unwise. The league meeting would be in April, and Chen Yingyuan would definitely lead a team there. It would be most appropriate to go as a member of the Beehive camp. The question was, how to get Chen Yingyuan to notice him and then take him to Longshan. Looking at Cheng Ping, Xia Hong quickly came up with a plan. Looks like you really want to live. Upon hearing this, Cheng Ping prostrated even lower, continuously kowtowing in a plea for mercy. Seeing his stance, Xia Hong sneered and pulled out a purple wooden bottle from his bag next to him, with the words "Poisonous Flood Dragon Pill" labeled on it. Swallow this pill. Cheng Ping took the poison pill from Xia Hong's hand without a trace of hesitation and swallowed it in one gulp. A feeling of weakness immediately surged from within, but Cheng Ping felt neither fear nor regret. Instead, he was full of excitement and satisfaction, constantly kowtowing and saying, "Thank you, sir, for sparing my life. Thank you, sir, for sparing my life. Don't thank me too soon. This poisonous flood dragon pill will act every 10 days. Without the antidote, you'll surely die with your strength. If you want to live, obediently listen to my words. Anything that happens at your camp must be reported to me immediately, understand?" I understand. You might think of going to Chen Yingba to neutralize the poison in your body. Let me tell you directly, even Chen Yingyuan couldn't cure the poison on you. You can certainly try risking your life, but you should be aware of the consequences if I find out. Being called out by Xia Hong, Cheng Ping's face was full of fear, especially when he heard Xia Hong mention Chen Yingyuan without a shred of respect, causing his heart to tremble even more. He hurriedly lowered his head and said, "I wouldn't dare. I will certainly serve the Lord well in the future. If you want me to go east, I will never dare to go west." Chapter 464, Chapter 213, Long Mountain News, Ecstasy and Riot Part 3. This is what a clever person does. This Cheng Ping, although he usually abuses his little power, he is quite perceptive when faced with a life-and-death crisis. After dealing with Cheng Ping properly, Xia Hong then turned his head toward the cave entrance, his brows slightly furrowed as he said, "You've been spying for so long, it's time to come out." Someone outside is spying. All 7 people, including Cheng Ping and Wang Hun, who were kneeling on the ground, were all stunned. Ahem. A gentle cough came from the direction of the cave entrance, followed by 2 figures, one big and one small, slowly stepping inside. It was Li Bei and Luo Cheng, the uncle-nephew duo who had just rushed over from Luo Ming's side. The 2 of them at this moment, looking at Xia Hong, were full of shock and astonishment on their faces. Xia Hong did not show any surprise at their reaction. He perceived very clearly that the 2 had come along with Cheng Ping and the 5 others. Seeing everything that happened inside the cave, such a reaction was not surprising. "Brother Hong Yu, your strength. This is nowhere near someone who is critically ill. Clearly, he is an incredibly formidable expert, surpassing even the earth-digging realm limit. Just a moment ago, the kick that smashed and killed 4 people and injured Cheng Ping instantly made Li Bei deduce that the man's strength surely surpassed his and Luo Ming's. No, not just surpassed. At least several times stronger, maybe even at the cold resistance level." Cold resistance level. The thought popped into Li Bei's mind, and he immediately focused his gaze on Xia Hong's face, but he could not discern any familiar features. Until he met eyes with Xia Hong. Li Bei was stunned, and then a wild joy immediately appeared on his face. This Li Bei is quite smart. Xia Hong's memory drifted back to the night 2 years ago when Luo Ming left, recalling that among the 12-man team, only Li Bei frequently looked back. It wasn't unexpected that he could recognize him. Was it Brother Luo who sent you to rescue me? Upon hearing the reference to Luo Ming, Li Bei understood, realizing Xia Hong didn't want to reveal his identity. He immediately nodded and said, Xia, Brother Hong Yu, indeed it was brother who sent me. This is my brother's son, Luo Cheng. Xiao Cheng, quickly pay respects to your uncle Yu. Luo Cheng obviously hadn't recovered from the shock. Being nudged by Li Bei, he quickly walked to Xia Hong, bowed slightly with an admiring expression. Luo Cheng pays respects to Uncle Yu. Luo Cheng. Xia Hong looked at Luo Cheng, slightly sensing his chi muscle, and a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. He didn't seem much older than 10, just a step away from the logging realm. Even with such talent in today's great Xia, it's considered quite good. No wonder Luo Ming left Redwood Ridge for this little son. Not bad, get up first, let me tidy up here. Xia Hong smiled and praised him, then gestured for him and Li Bei to step aside. He then walked over to the 7 people in front of Wang Hun, asking with a slight shift in his expression, how do convicts and slaves like you come into this mining area? My lord, we. No need for you to speak, you two speak instead. Just as the 5 were about to answer, Xia Hong interrupted them, signaling for the other 2 to speak instead. There were 7 people in the cave. Those who planned to attack him last night were only Wang Hun and his 5 men, while the other 2 obviously weren't under Chang Ping's instruction and even showed sympathy for him, clearly different from Wang Hun's group. The 2 kneeling on the ground did not seem as fearful as Wang Hun and the others. Instead, their faces were full of hope. At this moment, hearing Xia Hong's question, one of them immediately spoke. My lord, I am Liu Hua, originally from a small camp north of the hive. Last year, while leading a hunt outside, I encountered people from the hive camp. They not only robbed our prey but also abducted all 7 of us here, forcing me to mine for them. I beg your lord's great mercy to save us, please, my lord. The other person next to him also spoke. I am Zhang Jun. I experienced something similar to Liu Hua, but I have been in the mining area much longer than him. To my knowledge, starting from Cave 80 and onward, half of the long-term residents are like us, abducted, while the other half were sent here as convicts, such as Wang Hun, who was originally from the hive camp. It said he's been involved in several murders and raped and killed some women, which led to his dispatch here. Don't talk nonsense, I. Shut up. Xia Hong dismissed Wang Hun's defense with one word, then turned to Cheng Ping with a questioning look. Seeing Cheng Ping nod, he immediately understood that there were no issues with what Zhang Jun said. Looking at the desperate to survive Liu Hua and Zhang Jun, and the frightened group of Wang Hun, Xia Hong touched his chin, quickly forming a plan. Things might get a bit chaotic here later, Brother Li. You take Luo Cheng and leave first. I'll join your hunting team once it's dark. Brother Luo should welcome me, right? Brother Hong Yu, rest assured, my brother will surely welcome you. Li Bei seemed to have somewhat realized something and immediately nodded heavily, answering before leaving the mining area with Luo Cheng. After the 2 left, Xia Hong turned back to Cheng Ping and Wang Hun and the other 7 on the ground. With a smile on his face, he said, being trapped in this dark mining cave with no hope of escape, I'll give you a chance to escape, but you have to follow my instructions. The 5 of Wang Hun, Liu Hua and Zhang Jun were all beaming with changing expressions, whereas Cheng Ping on the other side was so terrified his face turned pale, wanting to say something multiple times but ultimately held back, considering Xia Hong's strength just now. Click, click. Soon after Xia Hong finished speaking, the sound of 7 shackles breaking rang out, and the newly freed Wang Hun and the other 7's expressions immediately became ecstatic. Of course, along with the excitement, their fear of Xia Hong also increased. The shackles on their feet were made of 100 forged iron, ordinarily impossible for 10 forged weapons to cut through, let alone leave a mark. Yet Xia Hong just lightly sliced with a knife, and the shackles broke into 2 pieces directly. No, that doesn't indicate anything. Gulp. Watching the Longyu blade, which just tightly pinned him to the ground, being effortlessly wielded like a stick by Xia Hong, Wang Hun swallowed, filled with shock and terror. Just at that moment, Xia Hong tossed a dagger each to Liu Hua and Zhang Jun. Use this dagger, unlock the shackles for others. In half an hour, I'll open a passage in the mining area ceiling, then it's up to you how far you can run. Thank you, my lord, for your life-saving grace. If there's an opportunity in the future, Liu Hua will repay you at the cost of his life with no hesitation. And I Zhang Jun, thank you too, my lord. Wang Hun originally also wanted to mimic and offer his gratitude to Xia Hong, but seeing the two already turned and left, wanting to escape urgently, he immediately followed, with the remaining 4 trailing behind him. Xia Hong finally turned back to look at Cheng Ping, raised the Yi blade in hand, and directly slashed across his arm's position. Slash. Even when acting out a play, you have to make it look real. Apologies, you won't blame me, right? Though Cheng Ping's arm bled painfully, he forced a smile and trembled. Serving you, my lord, is my privilege. Not bad, very obedient. Half an hour later, at the mining area connected to passage 19 of the hive. Bam! A loud noise erupted, shaking the entire hive station twice. In the hive main zone, many people immediately woke up from their slumber. What sound was that? Was it coming from the mining area? Seems like the mining area exploded. Oh no, hurry over and take a look. Even the main building was alerted, but as soon as the first wave of people returned to the main zone after checking, the news quickly spread. There's been a riot in the mining area. Chapter 465, Chapter 214, Achieving Merit by Accident. The reaction time at the hive camp was actually quite fast. From the moment the explosion sounded to the time the main area organized personnel to the mine district, it only took about half an hour to quell a riot. Chen Yingba stood at the entrance of the mining area with a furious expression, looking at the 3 mining district supervisors in front of him, wishing he could slap them to death with a single blow. The 3 mining district supervisors looked very disheveled, with 2 of them carrying knife wounds, unable to utter a single timid word. Glaring at the unscathed one, Chen Yingba asked, "You tell me how many people ran away?" Upon hearing Chen Yingba's inquiry, the man immediately stood out and said, "There were a total of 105 people living past number 80, 32 were killed in the riot, 41 were captured, and the remaining 32 are missing. The pursuit in the camp passage is still ongoing, and since it is daytime, they certainly can't escape." Slap! Chen Yingba slapped the man so hard that he was knocked 3 meters away, pointing angrily at the passage area behind him. He roared, "Open your damn eyes and take a look, is it day or night now?" That man climbed up from the ground, looked up in terror, followed Chen Yingba's direction, saw the large pit over passage 19, and realized there was no light coming in from outside, realizing it was already night. Were killed, 32 ran away. A total of 64 earth-digging realm slaves, who could mine nearly 10,000 pounds of iron ore for the camp every day, were just gone like that. Chen Yingba's heart was bleeding. He turned to the right, where a long line of people was kneeling on the ground, with many holding weapons guarding them, precisely the 41 people captured in the riot. Noticing their ankle chains all broken, a harsh look emerged on Chen Yingba's face, and he said, "Separate everyone and question them one by one. Find out who opened their shackles. Hit anyone who dares to lie until they tell the truth." The subordinates immediately sprang into action upon hearing this, pulling aside the captured people to question them, and from the screams, it was evident the questioning was bloody. Chen Yingba then led the 3 mining district supervisors into passage 19, raising his head to stare at the large pit leading to the surface, his gaze slightly freezing. "Tell me what happened again just now." Upon hearing Chen Yingba's request, one of the 3 supervisors spoke immediately. "We were sleeping and suddenly heard a bang. We thought some part of the mining area had collapsed and were about to get up to check when we heard many people shouting to run away. Realizing those mining slaves wanted to escape, we immediately grabbed weapons and rushed out. As the 3 of us rushed out of the room, we saw the mining slaves. Shackles were all opened, fleeing outside the passage, so we hurried to stop them. Others in the mining area also came out to help, but everything was too fast. By the time everyone else reacted, those mining slaves had already climbed to this position, hence why so many eventually escaped." Hearing this again, Chen Yingba's expression grew heavier. As one of the first to arrive at the mining area, he not only personally participated in capturing those who rioted, but also had long since observed the large pit inside and out. The opening of this large pit was only human-sized, yet its diameter reached 5 to 6 meters at the surface, as if something had burrowed upwards from below. According to this person, those mining slaves were clearly prepared in advance, meaning this large pit in the passage was likely their doing. How was this possible? This passage was at least over 50 meters from the surface. Even with over 100 Earth-digging realm mining slaves, they couldn't possibly tunnel through given a full day and night. Sir, could it have been some unknown cold beast? Do you think those mining slaves could control a cold beast to dig tunnels for them? Chen Yingba immediately dismissed the man's guess, his gaze growing increasingly puzzled. At this moment, the results of the interrogation from the mining area came out. Sir, we found out that most of the ankle chains were opened by Wang Hun, Zhang Jun, and Liu Hua. They also informed others to escape. There are 7 people, including 4 from Cave 93, whose bodies are not among the dead on the ground. It seems they escaped, and the problem likely lies in Cave 93. Cave 93. Just as Chen Yingba was about to speak, the 2 injured supervisors also spoke up. That's right, sir. I remembered when the mining slaves rushed out. We went to stop them and were almost killed, but someone rescued us. He's also from Cave 93, just arrived today, seems to be named Hong Yu. Yes, it was Hong Yu. He's the one who saved us, and I even personally saw him kill a few escaping mining slaves while helping others stop them. Yes, that's him. If he hadn't awakened the others in time, more mining slaves would have escaped just now. Hong Yu. Realizing he had no impression of this name, Chen Yingba frowned. Is this person also a mining slave? No, he's a newcomer who just arrived yesterday and was assigned to the mining district. Not a mining slave. Why assign a newcomer to Cave 93? Seeing the 3 supervisors stammering and unable to speak, Chen Yingba immediately understood the situation, a surge of nameless anger rising in his heart. He directly slapped them again. He knew well that these people below extorted and exploited, arranging newcomers to live in mining slave caves simply because they hadn't given benefits or offended somehow. Otherwise, how else would these 3 react this way? Chapter 466, Chapter 214, Meritorious Deed, A Fortunate Accident, Part 2. Where's that man Hong Yu? Bring him over here. Hong Yu isn't here. I think I saw him with Lord Chengping chasing after those mining slaves. I don't know. Bang! Upon hearing that Hong Yu wasn't around, Chen Yingba was about to lose his temper when suddenly a body slid down from the big pit and hit the ground with a loud noise. Bang, bangs, bangs, bang. 4 more followed suit, and after 5 bodies had emerged, 2 disheveled people slid down from the pit one after the other. Chengping. Who's that person? That body on the ground seems to be Wang Hun. It's really Wang Hun. The other 4 are also from Cave 93. I originally brought along 4 brothers to mine here and just happened to hear an explosion. I saw those mining slaves rushing out to escape, so I immediately led people to block them. But they were numerous and prepared, and in the confusion we couldn't stop them. Luckily, Brother Hong Yu woke up the others from the caves and helped us hold them back. Otherwise. Soon, Chengping recapped the sequence of events, including how they chased to the surface and intercepted Wang Hun and his group. Unfortunately, he was outmatched, got injured by Wang Hun, and even lost 4 subordinates. Had it not been for Hong Yu's timely intervention, he himself might have been killed by Wang Hun. All right, you should apply some medicine first. Seeing Chengping's arm wound bleeding, Chen Yingba slightly furrowed his brow, interrupted him, and tossed a bottle of medicine to him. Then he glanced at the 5 bodies on the ground and turned to ask Hong Yu, "You killed Wang Hun and his 5 men all by yourself, and you saved Chengping too?" Xia Hong nodded and said, "Indeed, when these mining slaves first rioted, I was inside and killed a few people. Many witnessed it." After listening to Xia Hong, Chen Yingba's brow immediately furrowed as he turned to the person beside him and subtly signaled. Whoosh! That person understood and directly drew a knife to slash at Xia Hong. Xia Hong, standing in place, appeared somewhat caught off guard, seemingly forgetting to draw his knife, pulled the long knife from his back and blocked sideways. Clang! Xia Hong's strength was noticeably inferior to that person. The wooden sheath was sliced open, and his body retreated several meters, his face full of astonishment. "Why, my lord, why do this?" Wish! Before he could finish, that person's large knife continued to slash at him. Xia Hong twisted his body to avoid it, watching the blade tear through his clothes. He seemed unable to tolerate it any longer, finally revealing anger, kicking his legs, and instead of retreating, he advanced, raising his long knife and charging at the person's chest. Despite his lesser strength, his knife skills and agility surpassed his opponent. In his nimble maneuvers, he not only dodged countless slashes but also closed the distance to less than a meter. Eh? The person attacking Xia Hong, surprised and visibly embarrassed, put away the large knife as his body sprang back, rapidly slashing down at Xia Hong's head. Whoosh! That person's speed and strength exceeded Xia Hong, and at such close range, no matter how Xia Hong tried to dodge, he was bound to be hit. But nobody expected Xia Hong, instead of trying to dodge such a strike, even reverse-gripped the knife handle, seizing a minute opportunity, aiming the tip upwards promptly at the other's throat. Stop! In reality, Chen Yingba didn't need to speak. The person's large knife, mere half an inch from Xia Hong's head, was forcibly halted. Correspondingly, Xia Hong's unscabbarded knife tip was also just under half an inch from the man's throat. With a basic strength of 26,000 pounds, to fight like this against Chen Hai, this Hong Yu, his knife techniques and combat experience are truly exceptional, a real talent. Chen Yingba looked at Hong Yu with utmost admiration. Sir, I came to join Hive Camp. Yesterday no hunting team recruited me. They put me to mining. I didn't complain. I was unreasonably quarters with mining slaves. Though it bothered me, I endured. When the riot unexpectedly happened, I promptly informed others and helped to block, even killed the rebel leader Wang Hun. You didn't record my merit, but now you let someone attack me. Since B Camp isn't welcoming, Hong Yu shall apply elsewhere. Please allow this. Hong Yu will leave the beehive. Don't be upset. Wang Hun was captured by me personally. I'm well aware of his prowess. You saying you alone killed them and saved Cheng Ping didn't convince me initially, but now I believe you. Given Chen Yingba's status, him explaining in such a way was undoubtedly rare, and the crowd realized Xia Hong was acknowledged by Chen Yingba, their eyes instantly filled with envy. Hong Yu, your abilities are excellent. Yesterday's unfair treatment was entirely due to those incompetent fools. From today, you're one of my team. You've earned great credit this time. The camp won't shortchange you. Let's do this. You'll be rewarded with a house in the main area, plus a complete set of weapons and 200 pounds of beast meat. As Chen Yingba's words fell, everyone around looked frozen in response, taking over 10 breaths to recover, and their eyes towards Xia Hong were full of envy and even jealousy. 200 pounds of beast meat, a house, these aren't much. Joining Chen Yingba's hunting team directly, now that was truly advantageous. Chapter 467, Chapter 214, Meritorious Deed, A Fortunate Accident Part 3. Among the hunting team's 30-odd squads, the one with the strongest power and best treatment was undoubtedly led by the head, Chen Yingba himself. Xia Hong showed a hint of surprise on his face, looking up at Chen Yingba, unable to speak for a moment. Such a reaction was nothing out of the ordinary in Chen Yingba's eyes. He turned his head to look at Chen Hai and said, "Subtract these 5, and only 27 people have escaped. There are still people outside searching. You take some men and try to bring them all back for me." Chen Hai immediately nodded and led his men out. Then Chen Yingba looked at the person in charge of the mining area and said in a deep voice, "Keep a close watch on the mining area these days. Patch up this big pit and find out how this large hole came about. If an unknown cold beast really appears and you are negligent, it will be your life you're risking." "Yes, sir." After saying that, Chen Yingba looked up at the big hole and then walked directly down the passage towards the main area. Xia Hong stood there, the surprise on his face having faded, watching the departing figure of Chen Yingba with a slow smile emerging on his face. Originally, his plan was to gain merit to leave the mining area and seamlessly join Luo Ming's squad. With his help, it would be easy enough for Luo Ming's squad to enter the sights of Chen Yingba or even Chen Yingyuan. Subsequently, he could aim to go to Long Mountain with them, making it even more reasonable. Unexpectedly, he accidentally stumbled directly into Chen Yingba's squad. This was much more convenient than joining Luo Ming's squad. Without a doubt, the members of Chen Yingba's squad must be part of the upper echelon of the beehive. It's more suitable to inquire about the situation with them. Moreover, today is already the 18th of January, and there are only 3 months left until mid-April. Chen Yingyuan will be going to Long Mountain for the assembly, needing to bring resources as tribute, and will surely take many people with him. By then, Chen Yingba's squad will most likely be deployed. This was indeed an unexpected delight. During this time, he needs to gather information about the beehive and the surrounding situation. Additionally, he should look for opportunities to observe how Chen Yingyuan, Chen Yingba, and Wu Tianxing, the 3 cold resistance level, cultivate. Oh, and he also needs to figure out who the 4th cold resistance level in the beehive is. Let's go, head to the main area, Xia Hong said with a cheerful expression, and the ever-nervous Cheng Ping immediately hurried after him. With Chen Yingba's order, returning to the main area to report, Xia Hong received completely different treatment than before. The person receiving him at the main building immediately improved his attitude, not only enthusiastically telling him his accommodation, but also introducing the situation and members of Chen Yingba's squad. Chen Yingba's squad had a total of 25 people. Unsurprisingly, apart from Chen Yingba, the other 24 were all elite members of the beehive. Soon, Xia Hong was given an iron token with a Chen character on the front and the number 25 on the back. Above the number was the word ranking. Seeing the word ranking, Xia Hong was a bit stunned. The person who gave him the token saw Xia Hong's expression and immediately explained with a smile, "The head squad is different from other squads. Among the 25 of you, there's a strength ranking." "Why is that?" Xia Hong had some guesses but still asked. "The head doesn't go hunting often. Generally, when he goes out, it's to hunt intermediate cold beasts. He won't take everyone, just 10 of them. But everyone wants to go, so there's no way but to use strength rankings for selection. Usually, each time he goes out, it's the top 1 to 10 that go. If those below want to go, they have to find a way to rise up." "How do I improve my ranking then?" "Challenge, but each challenge requires 20 pounds of beast blood." After hearing this, Xia Hong's expression was a bit strange, but he quickly understood. For the elites of the beehive, with basic strength generally exceeding 30,000 pounds, that means they've started using beast blood, making it the most precious thing to them. The problem is, beehive's productivity isn't as advanced as Great Xia's. From their living conditions, their experience hunting cold beasts is probably less than Great Xia's. Xia Chuan and Yuan Dao could already lead teams using traps and tools to hunt intermediate cold beasts cooperatively after surpassing the 30,000-pound limit. But the people here in the beehive can't. And because of the elite system, they would probably be somewhat wary of each other while cherishing their lives, likely making their teamwork capability poor as well. This makes it even harder to acquire beast blood. Going hunting with Chen Yingba, one should be able to get a little beast blood, which is why they're so enthusiastic about it. Looking at the fact that the beehive implements the elite system, it's undoubtedly true that the upper levels control the beast blood resources even more strictly than beast meat. It's easy to understand. If beast meat is the means for the elite class of the beehive to control the lower levels, by extension, beast blood is the means for Chen Yingyuan, his brothers, and Wu Tianxing, the 3 cold resistance level, to control the elite class. Killing the hen to get the eggs, neglecting the essentials, no wonder the beehive has had such limited development over the years. Just like their underground location, they shelter themselves in safety and comfort, ensuring safety but severely restricting growth. If a slightly bigger disaster occurs, it would likely fall apart in an instant. Coming out of the main building, Xia Hong quickly found the residence Chen Yingba awarded him. Sitting in the main hall, contemplating the pros and cons of the beehive's elite system, he quickly reached his conclusion, shaking his head repeatedly. As he thought before, the elite system likely started with good intentions, but over time, as the camp expanded, the so-called elite group formed a powerful class that's become difficult to shake off. Chen Yingyuan and his brothers probably see it too, but the problem is they themselves are part of the powerful class, perhaps even emerging from it. Finally turning from suffering to prosperity, they will naturally continue using this method to maintain their superior status. It's easy to talk about making changes, but actually doing it requires great determination. Note this: in the future, Great Xia must take this as a warning. When reform is needed, it must be done. Clinging to tradition and hoarding wealth among a few is essentially self-castration. The camp won't develop, and when troubles arise, everyone will suffer. After writing down his insights on the beast's skin roll, Xia Hong shook his head slightly. Uncle Yu, are you home?" Just then, Luo Cheng's voice came from outside the door. Xia Hong's eyebrows slightly furrowed, but he stood up and walked toward the door. Chapter 468, Chapter 215, Teaching Luo Cheng Techniques, News of the Jade Bone. "Did I get the address wrong?" "No, I'm sure I asked and they said it was here." At the entrance, Luo Cheng was holding a bowl of stewed meat, waiting for quite a while, but the door still didn't open. His eyes showed a hint of confusion. But soon, as the door opened from inside and Hong Yu came out, a smile instantly appeared on his face. "Uncle Yu, you just got back from the mining area and haven't had dinner yet. This meat was just stewed. Give it a try." After Luo Cheng finished speaking, seeing Hong Yu staring at him with an amused look, his heart suddenly felt uneasy, especially recalling how earlier Li Bei, upon learning that Hong Yu joined Chen Yingba's hunting team, had said regretfully to him. His expression became more tense. "What a pity, I thought he could join our team. It would have been much easier then. Xiao Cheng, this Hong Yu won't stay long in the beehive. You have to seize the opportunity. Spend more time with him during this period, and there will definitely be great rewards." Although Luo Cheng was only 10 years old, he was no fool. Everything that happened in cave number 93, Li Bei saw it, and so did he. Hong Yu's extraordinary strength, and what he did to Cheng Ping and Wang Hun, all indicated that his status in Great Xia was definitely not low. Coming to the beehive, he clearly had some purpose. Since there was a purpose, he definitely wouldn't stay long. Uncle He having him interact more with Hong Yu was likely hoping that Hong Yu would have a good impression of him, preparing for the future return to Great Xia. Was it Li Bei who told you to do this? After all, he was only 10 years old. Despite Luo Cheng's efforts to hide his intentionally friendly demeanor, how could his performance escape the eyes of Xia Hong? Being seen through by Xia Hong, Luo Cheng's face instantly turned red, but he stubbornly said, "No, this beast meat was stewed by myself. I thought Uncle Yu probably hadn't eaten, so I deliberately brought it for him." Xia Hong chuckled lightly, looking at the approximately 4 pounds of steaming beast meat in the bowl. A thought crossed his mind, and he asked, "The beast meat your father gives you every day is probably about this amount. If you don't eat it, your cultivation won't keep up. Aren't you afraid he'll blame you?" Hearing this, a difficult expression did appear on Luo Cheng's face, but he quickly smiled and said, "Don't worry, Uncle Yu. My cultivation progress is good enough that my father won't notice for a while." Hearing such childish words, Xia Hong couldn't help but smile, thought for a moment, and shook his head, saying, "Then bring it in, put it down, and leave. Don't bring me more in the future." Luo Cheng showed a hint of disappointment at the words, but he quickly brought the bowl in, placed it properly, respectfully gave Xia Hong a bow, and didn't forget to close the door on his way out. Returning to the main hall, Xia Hong sat down, looking at the stewed meat on the table, a hint of peculiarity in his eyes. He took out a wooden container from his bag, spooned some salt into it, and then picked up his chopsticks to slowly eat. Though he had a cold resistance level cultivation, he still needed to eat. His bag contained a fair amount of dried intermediate beast meat, but the taste couldn't compare to the freshly stewed kind. Being able to enjoy a mouthful of fresh meat naturally put Xia Hong in a better mood. That kid probably won't come tomorrow. Could he actually be going out to hunt by himself? Without an elite status, half of the catch would need to be turned in. It sounds a bit frustrating. While eating the beast meat, Xia Hong furrowed his brow in thought. Having himself go out to hunt now, even for an intermediate cold beast, didn't interest him much. Not to mention, he'd have to turn in half when he brought it back to camp. Moreover, for a person of cold resistance level to personally hunt just for some food seemed a bit absurd. As it turned out, Xia Hong was wrong. The next day, just before dawn, Luo Cheng came again. It was carrying another bowl of freshly stewed beast meat. "Didn't I say not to bring me more yesterday?" Watching Luo Cheng skillfully place the beast meat on the table, Xia Hong wore an odd expression and asked. Luo Cheng smiled and said, "Sorry to trouble you, Uncle Yu. I remembered that I didn't take the bowl back yesterday, so I came to get it today and brought this along the way." He really did find yesterday's bowl, and whether Xia Hong chose to eat or not, he just turned and left. Looking at the fragrant stewed meat, Xia Hong added a bit of salt and began to eat it, suddenly laughing after finishing, looking at the new empty bowl in front of him. This kid, he's quite the sly one. It seemed like Luo Cheng was dead set on Xia Hong. Even though Xia Hong told him again on the third day not to come, every day just before dawn, he would show up with a bowl of beast meat on time. On January 25th, which was the 8th day Luo Cheng was delivering meat, Xia Hong glanced at the beast meat in the bowl and then at Luo Cheng, whose chi muscle had shown no progress for 8 consecutive days, and finally couldn't hold back. "Going so long without eating beast meat, are you not planning to break through to the logging realm?" Since Luo Ming didn't have elite status, half of the beast meat he hunted had to be turned in. With his hunting team estimated at 20 people, a low-level cold beast gave about 1,200 pounds of meat. Split in half, they had 600 pounds left, which would give each person about 30 pounds of beast meat. Xia Hong, having spent so many days in the beehive, had learned quite a few things. To Luo Ming and the others, beast meat was as good as currency. Coal, iron, and other living supplies all needed beast meat for exchange, so 5 pounds of beast meat was no small figure for either Luo Cheng or Luo Ming. Chapter 469, Chapter 215, Teaching Luo Cheng Techniques, News of the Jade Bone, Part 2. He lived not far from Luo Ming's residence. Luo Ming would take the team out hunting almost every night, which indicated that their father-son duo was not living comfortably and might even be a bit tight financially. For Luo Cheng to deliver 5 pounds to him every day was indeed not few. He could tell at a glance that Luo Cheng's basic strength was over 4,800 pounds, just a step away from the logging realm, so he deliberately asked such a question. Upon hearing this, Luo Cheng indeed showed a hint of difficulty on his face but quickly bit his teeth and said, "I'm just a little short. No rush." Seeing Luo Cheng's conflicted expression, Xia Hong inwardly chuckled. This time he didn't wait for Luo Cheng to leave but took out the jar of salt in front of him, added salt to the beast meat, and handed Luo Cheng a pair of chopsticks. "Come and have a taste. That way you won't say I'm taking advantage of you." When he saw the white crystals in the jar, Luo Cheng's eyes instantly lit up. Hearing Xia Hong inviting him to eat together, a smile immediately appeared on his face, and he rushed to the table, picking up the beast meat and putting it in his mouth. With a mouthful of beast meat in his stomach, Luo Cheng's face was full of enjoyment, and his eyes also showed the expression of as expected. The basin he got back a few days ago, he used to cook things later, found the taste much more aromatic. He suspected then Xia Hong must have added something. Seeing it firsthand today, he finally confirmed it. "Uncle Yu, this is so delicious. What did you add? I've never tasted such good beast meat, and after eating it I feel my strength has greatly increased." "Salt, something from Great Xia." Xia Hong answered concisely, causing Luo Cheng's eyes to gradually sparkle, and his longing for Great Xia rose instantly to another level. "Your face is like a monkey's butt. Quickly go cultivate to disperse the strength." Upon hearing this, Luo Cheng was taken aback, reached up to touch his face and found his cheeks burning hot. Realizing it was the effect of the salt, he quickly stood up, went outside, pulled out the small knife in his hand and began cultivating. The main components of salt are intermediate beast bones and frozen pearls. The energy contained within is not low, and along with the body's need of this feature, the first-time consumption reaction is this major, was within Xia Hong's expectations. But Luo Cheng was unaware, waving the small knife in his hand, sensing the energy obtained inside him, far exceeding several times the usual intake of beast meat. He thought the salt was some precious material, his expression instantly excited beyond measure. "Hoo. Watching Luo Cheng swing the knife and cultivate for a while, Xia Hong shook his head. This lad probably has no talent for swordsmanship. Although Luo Cheng was just over 10 years old, his height had already surpassed 1.6 meters, obviously taller than his peers. The small knife he wielded looked custom-made, only over 90 centimeters. Despite his skilled knife-wielding posture, appearing vigorous and fierce, Xia Hong could see at a glance that he was not proficient in the variations of swordsmanship. His advantages were in arm strength and wrist strength. The coordination of double-arm exertion was also striking. Relying on these 3 points, he barely wielded the small knife with some semblance. Practicing was visible, but really using it in combat was not feasible. Arm strength, wrist strength, coordination of double-arm exertion. Reflecting on these 3 points, Xia Hong glanced at the yi blade beside him, pondered for a moment, and immediately knew what weapon Luo Cheng was genuinely suited for. "Ahoo!" Outside, Luo Cheng suddenly retracted his power, exhaled heavily, lowered his head looking at his hands, his face full of excitement and agitation. He broke through. The logging realm, he directly broke through. Originally, according to his plan, even if he ate beast meat to cultivate regularly, the last 200 pounds of basic strength would take at least 2 months to raise smoothly, but just 1 bite of salted beast meat directly broke through. At this moment, Luo Cheng turned his head to look at Xia Hong, his face filled with excitement. "If you have nothing to do, interact with him frequently. There will definitely be great gains." At this moment, He suddenly understood what Li Bei meant with that remark. Luo Cheng thought for a moment, walked up to Xia Hong, directly knelt down facing him and bowed. "Thank you, Uncle Yu." Luo Cheng is deeply grateful. Except before he could kneel down, a chair was horizontally placed over. If he knelt down, it would be a formal teacher-student ceremony. Xia Hong naturally couldn't let Luo Cheng kneel. Not to mention he had no intention to teach students, even if he really wanted to take on a student. With Luo Cheng's current aptitude, he didn't really find him up to par. "No need to kneel. Consider it compensation for delivering beast meat to me for so many days. Don't bring beast meat tomorrow when you come by." Luo Cheng could naturally detect Xia Hong's intent in his words. His face was originally somewhat disappointed, but upon hearing Xia Hong let him come back tomorrow, the disappointment was instantly swept away, and he eagerly nodded in agreement. "Yes, Uncle Yu." Soon, Luo Cheng took 2 basins and left. Sitting on the chair, Xia Hong watched Luo Cheng leave. A slight smile formed in his eyes, then turned his head toward the direction of the hive main building. Idle or not, this lad is rather clever, might as well give him some guidance. As long as my ranking doesn't rise, Chen Yingba should not notice me, just wait for news from Cheng Ping. Xia Hong mused for a while, estimating it was already dawn, grabbed his pack and 2 blades and went out directly. Early next morning, almost daybreak, Luo Cheng appeared again punctually. This time he listened to Xia Hong's words and didn't bring beast meat. But upon entering the courtyard, he was directly stunned. In the courtyard were astonishingly 3 cold beasts, specifically Snow Mane and Frost Wolf. Chapter 470, Chapter 215, Teaching Luo Cheng Techniques, News of the Jade Bone, Part 3. It's just that all 3 cold beasts were cut in half, clearly handed over upon entry into the settlement. "Uncle Yu, did you go hunting?" Luo Cheng's pupils dilated, his face full of surprise as he asked. When his father Luo Ming led the team out hunting, the most they ever brought back was 2 beasts in a night. Even then, Luo Ming, despite his greatest contribution, only got over 100 pounds personally. Under normal circumstances, his father would get at most 40 to 50 pounds of beast meat each night he went out. Yet Xia Hong had 3.5 cold beasts directly in his yard at this moment. The key point was, yesterday, Xia Hong hadn't prepared anything, nor had anyone visited him, and now he showed no signs of having gone out hunting. What does this mean? Gulp. Luo Cheng looked up at Xia Hong, swallowing nervously. Use your knife, handle that Snow Mane, cook as much as we can eat. Seeing that Xia Hong clearly did not want to speak, Luo Cheng did not fuss, drew his knife, and began handling the cold beast. Even though he just broke through to the logging realm, Luo Cheng obviously lacked experience, taking over half an hour and soaking in sweat to cut a few pieces of beast meat and start cooking. After a while, as the beast meat was nearing readiness, Xia Hong added a handful of refined salt, the aroma spreading, and they started to feast heartily again. After eating the beast meat, take 1 pill, then start cultivation. Just after finishing the beast meat, Luo Cheng saw a wooden bottle appear in front of him. Without asking Xia Hong, he opened the bottle to see the Dan medicine inside and swallowed one immediately. Xia Hong then took out a spear over a meter long from inside the house, walked to the yard, held his breath in mind, and began to practice. Holding the spear with both hands, his whole demeanor changed instantly. The spear, accompanied by a sudden turn of his body, sharply carved a half-arc into the ground. Swishing. A half-meter-high plume of dust rose abruptly, and a 3 to 4 meter wide arc-shaped groove appeared on the stone ground in front of Xia Hong. Just by visual estimation, it was several tens of centimeters deep. This left Luo Cheng momentarily dumbfounded. A month for the stick, a year for the knife, a lifetime for the spear. Seeing Luo Cheng staring at him intently, Xia Hong's lips curled into a faint smirk as he continued talking to himself. The spear is the commander of 100 weapons, primarily used for intercepting, holding, and stabbing. In finer terms, it involves 17 techniques: chopping, crashing, penetrating, pointing, clouding, deflecting, lifting, wrapping, sweeping, blocking, throwing, swinging, withdrawing, bumping, twisting. Normally, mastering spear techniques takes at least 10 years of practice, and with a bit more talent, at least 3 years. As Xia Hong demonstrated and explained the 17 spear techniques one by one, he continued, "In the 3 realms of logging, earth digging, and cold resistance, strength distinguishes power, so weapon use involves no great skill, just proficiency. To master all 17 spear techniques, there is no shortcut, only daily persistence of 10,000 repetitions. Master one technique in a month and you're already considered talented. For the average person, it's hard to keep up. With this final note, Xia Hong tossed the spear aside and headed back into the house. Thank you, Uncle Yu. Standing to the side, Luo Cheng bowed respectfully to Xia Hong before heading to the yard to pick up the spear. But as soon as he took hold of it, he was nearly toppled by its weight. This spear is so heavy. Luo Cheng's hands trembled, estimating the spear to weigh at least 1,500 pounds. Looking at the 10 forged silver patterns on the spear shaft, he was puzzled. His father also used 10 forged weapons. Given the size, the spear should at most weigh around 600 to 700 pounds, so how could it be so unexpectedly heavy? 10,000 times this. Recalling Xia Hong's words, Luo Cheng's face instantly showed difficulty, but upon seeing Xia Hong already inside, he gritted his teeth and began wielding it arduously. 10,000 times it is, start with chopping. Inside the room, Xia Hong sat alone on a chair, watching Luo Cheng chop with the spear through the window. As his posture swiftly transformed from clumsy to adept, a slight smile appeared on his face. This kid is indeed most suited for the spear. For a period after that, Luo Cheng frequently visited Xia Hong, each time cooking beast meat without a word, eating dinner with Xia Hong, then taking a beast essence pill and starting spear practice. Luo Cheng's basic strength was just 5,000 pounds. Trying to wave a 1,500-pound spear 10,000 times consecutively wasn't easy initially. He first practiced with chopping. On the first day, he managed a little over 700 times before becoming nearly exhausted. On the second day, he slightly improved, reaching over 900 times, the third day more, fourth, fifth. It's worth mentioning that Cheng Ping dropped by occasionally during this time. Luo Cheng was aware of Cheng Ping being controlled by Xia Hong, watching this man who once wielded power at the city gate, often hassling his father, now bowing submissively before Xia Hong. Luo Cheng's admiration for Xia Hong grew daily, and he became increasingly eager for power. I did it, I finally did it, ha ha ha. On February 20th, or the 24th day since Xia Hong taught him spear techniques, Luo Cheng once again cut down heavily with the spear. Despite his twitching and cramping arms, he lay on the ground laughing heartily. 10,000 times. He really did it. Uncle Yu, I did it, ha ha ha, I did it. Xia Hong walked out of the house, observing the ecstatic Luo Cheng. Despite feeling impressed, he feigned indifference and said, "What's so exciting? You've just managed 10,000 times. Keep it up for another month, then you'll truly master the chopping technique." Having a bucket of cold water poured over him, Luo Cheng's spirit immediately dampened but soon rekindled his determination, nodding resolutely. "I understand, Uncle Yu. I will keep pushing until I master it fully." This kid probably doesn't even know how much his basic strength has increased. The amazement in Xia Hong's eyes wasn't solely because Luo Cheng achieved 10,000 spear chops, but because, by observing his chi muscle, he knew Luo Cheng's basic strength had exceeded 6,000 pounds. In just over a month, with the aid of the beast essence pill and salt, Luo Cheng's innate talent should not be underestimated. An increase of 1,000 pounds in basic strength in a month, if he remembered correctly. Besides himself, only a few others like Xia Chuan and Yuan Cheng were capable of achieving this. This kid's talent is indeed not low. Hong Yu, is Hong Yu here? Just then, a familiar voice suddenly came from outside the door. Xia Hong raised an eyebrow slightly, gesturing to Luo Cheng on the ground. Luo Cheng quickly got up to open the door, welcoming the person outside. "Sir, there's a situation." The person entering was Cheng Ping, and upon seeing Xia Hong, he immediately saluted with a bow. "Luo Cheng, return home first, come back tomorrow." "Yes, Uncle Yu." Hearing about the situation, a glimmer of interest appeared in Xia Hong's eyes, signaling Luo Cheng to leave before leading Cheng Ping inside. "Sir, our leader just transported hundreds of thousands of pounds of coal stone yesterday. He likely intends to boil jade bone. Today I saw a man in black with him, one I've never seen before, should be the outsider you mentioned. Where's the place for boiling jade bone? Can I go there?" Cheng Ping looked troubled upon hearing this, explaining, "The top floor is where the boiling takes place, and besides the great leader, second leader and Commander Chen, no one else can go up without summons." Xia Hong pondered for a moment, then said, "Take me to the main building first, I'll check it out myself." Despite his hesitation, Cheng Ping had to follow Xia Hong, who was already leading the way. Chapter 471, Chapter 216, Miracle Medicine Outing and the Longyu Incident. Unlike the first time entering the main building, this time, with Chengping leading the way, Xia Hong quickly climbed to the fourth floor via the interior staircase. The main hall on the fourth floor had a large martial arts training ground, where over 100 people were diligently engaging in cultivation. After Chengping arrived, his movements became notably more cautious. Unsurprisingly, those who could train here were, if not elites, at least members of elite families. Soon, Chengping led him to a small room on the side of the fourth floor. Above this room is the boiler room where jade bone is cooked. I can only bring the gentlemen here. Today, our great leader, second leader, and Commander Chen are all on the top floor. Maybe you should. SHH, don't speak. Xia Hong interrupted Chengping directly, then closed his eyes and focused on listening to the sounds above. Unfortunately, after a while of listening, his brow furrowed. There's actually added protection on the top floor, worried about others eavesdropping. This undoubtedly piqued Xia Hong's curiosity even more, especially knowing that jade bone was being cooked upstairs. After pondering for a moment, Xia Hong looked at the window of the room and directly climbed out through it. Wait for me here. Seeing Xia Hong climb to the top floor through the window, Chengping's face turned extremely unpleasant. He had just been troubled about this, afraid Xia Hong would act this way. With all three leaders on the top floor, Xia Hong would undoubtedly die if discovered. Then what about my antidote? Of course, there was another possibility. Since Xia Hong dared to go up, it proved he was confident he wouldn't be discovered by the three leaders, but that possibility was really slim. Oh no, maybe I should just go upstairs and report to the leader. But what if, as Hong Yu said, the leader cannot help me detox? Then I'm still doomed. No, I'll wait here a bit longer and see what happens. After weighing the pros and cons, Chengping could only hope that Xia Hong would come back safely, and decided that if anything happened upstairs, he would take action immediately. Even though he was determined, staying in the room still made him feel like he was sitting on pins and needles. In the fifth-floor boiler room, Chen Li stood by a large pot. More than 10 people were continuously adding coal stone beneath the pot, making the bottom of the pot glow red. Steam kept rising from the pot, and since the room only had one pipe leading upward, the steam couldn't escape quickly, leaving virtually no visibility inside the room. The dozen or so people adding coal all covered their mouths and noses with damp cloths, showing dazed expressions and clear signs of poisoning. How much longer until the shift change? I'm about to hit my limit. Almost done, just 2 more minutes, people are already outside the door. The toxins from this jade bone are terrifying. After 3 hours, I'm at my limit. If I stay any longer, I'll definitely die from the poison. I wonder how the great leader and others use this for cultivation. I heard they drink the bone broth directly every time it's cooked. They add something to it. Last year, during one of the jade bone cookings, I was the last group to leave and saw the leader bring in 3 kinds of herbs. They probably added those things to make it drinkable. With the room filled with mist and everyone covering their noses and mouths, conversations were hushed. Soon, as the door opened and a new group entered, everyone inside breathed a sigh of relief and headed for the door. No one noticed that a window on one side of the room had been silently opened slightly, and in the mist nearby squatted a black-clad masked person, who used the shift change to quietly blend into the new crowd. Poisonous fumes. Yuan Dao didn't mention that Yuanhan was cooking jade bone. Xia Hong, mixed among the crowd as they shoveled coal, looked at the swirling poisonous fumes in the boiler room and showed a hint of confusion in his eyes. He could clearly sense that these toxic fumes indeed derived from the beast bone. But Yuan Dao didn't mention this before. Yuan Dao had joined the camp for a long time, and Xia Hong trusted him. So, it meant that Chen Yingyuan did this on purpose. Combining with what that person just said about the herbs, it's likely Chen Yingyuan added herbs at the end to counteract the toxic fumes intentionally, to protect the formula from leaking out. This matched with the beehive's overall approach of stifling advancement. Someone go upstairs and stir the pot. Xia Hong shook his head slightly. Hearing the words of the person next to him, he promptly volunteered, throwing down the iron shovel and climbing up the wooden ladder on the side of the large pot. Beside the large pot was a long-handled iron ladle, which Xia Hong picked up and started stirring. Looking at the rich aromatic bone broth bubbling non-stop in the pot, Xia Hong's eyes showed longing, but he quickly noticed that the green jade beast bone floating on top emitted an unusual black color. Looking closely, the toxic fumes in the room were coming from it. This ended up being a wasted trip. Xia Hong's eyes flashed with helplessness. Chen Yingyuan was unexpectedly secretive about the beast bone formula, not even trusting his own people, which caught him off guard. "What are you doing trying to taste it? It will poison you to death." Just as he felt somewhat disheartened inside, another person climbed up on the opposite side of the pot. While stirring the bone broth inside, that person noticed Xia Hong staring blankly and teased him immediately. "Zhu Yinhua, white frost grass, and one more thing, cold apple jade dew. Without these three great medicines, this pot of bone broth is pure poison to us. No, even with the three medicines, we probably can't withstand the energy of the beast bone." Chapter 472, Chapter 216, Great Medicine Going Out, Turmoil in Longyu Part 2. Looking at the person directly across from the big pot, still talking to himself, Xia Hong, although not responding, lowered his head, and a spark of brilliance instantly erupted in his eyes. This could also be considered a breakthrough in adversity. Zhu Yinhua, white frost grass, cold apple jade dew. He never expected that the person opposite would tell him the names of 3 medicinal ingredients all at once. Seeing that person's clothes clearly better than others, Xia Hong was slightly moved, worried about being detected, remained silent, stirred a few spoonfuls, and then quietly sneaked down. "Pharmacist Liu, it seems the fire isn't hot enough. Go out and ask someone to bring more coal rocks. 150,000 caddies is not enough. We'll need over 200,000 caddies for this batch of jade bone." "Okay, I'll inform someone to go right away." At this moment, someone below the big pot spoke, letting Xia Hong know the identity of the person who had just spoken to him. "A pharmacist from the hive camp specializing in alchemy, so that's it. 150,000 caddies, over 200,000 caddies." When stirring earlier, Xia Hong saw with his own eyes that the jade bone in the pot was just over 3 pounds. Deducing from the last harvest of the advanced snow mane broken arm, it should be the bones of a whole advanced cold beast. Just over 3 pounds, requiring over 200,000 caddies of coal stone to brew. This level of consumption. While clicking his tongue mentally, Xia Hong leaned against the windowsill, seized a gap, directly slipped out of the windowsill, and silently descended along the outer wall of the wooden building to the 4th floor. Just as he returned to the windowsill of Cheng Ping's room, Xia Hong suddenly looked up, glanced towards the top floor, his eyes revealing a glint. 1, 2, 3, 4, all 4 people have gone out. What are they going out for, hunting, or is there something else? Xia Hong pondered for a moment, then turned back, mouthed silently towards the 4th floor room, then leapt towards the direction of the door. "You go back first, I have some matters to attend to. Every 10 days from now, come to me for the antidote." Cheng Ping, waiting anxiously on the 4th floor, suddenly heard Xia Hong's voice. His body jerked in surprise, glanced around once or twice, found no trace of Xia Hong in the room, and immediately nodded respectfully. "Yes, sir." That Hong Yu wasn't discovered after all. Cheng Ping was sure that the great leaders 3 were on the top floor today. But Xia Hong just snuck up there but wasn't found. What does this mean? Gulp. Cheng Ping swallowed a mouthful of saliva, his pupils instantly filled with fear. This Hong Yu's ability. No, I must be more obedient from now on. It was already dawn. The sky above Hive Camp was bright. Due to being located in a plain area with sparse vegetation, the tracks of Chen Yingyuan's group of 4 walking were exceptionally clear. Xia Hong emerged from underground, came to the surface, and it didn't take much effort to find them. Heading north, it shouldn't be hunting. I'll follow and take a look. Redwood Ridge is south of the hive, and Chen Yingyuan's group of 4 heading north naturally wasn't hunting, but what else could make them move out all at once? Besides wondering why 4 people moved out at once, the identity of Hive's 4th cold resistance level person also intrigued Xia Hong. After a simple disguise, Xia Hong quietly followed their tracks. Xia Hong walked north along the path for 5 or 6 kilometers, finally seeing 4 figures from afar on a dirt slope. Despite being 500 or 600 meters away, Xia Hong immediately recognized that 3 of them were Chen Yingyuan, Wu Tangxing, and Chen Yingba. Meanwhile, he also saw clearly the true visage of the 4th cold resistance level figure. It was a purple-faced, broad-faced middle-aged man, his outfit a fine black, standing over 2 meters tall with a robust physique like a towering iron tower, carrying a silver 8-sided giant hammer on his back, arms crossed before his chest, exuding a domineering presence. Xia Hong gauged the surrounding environment, soon selecting a large tree just over 200 meters from the dirt slope, quietly climbed up the tree, and listened silently to the four's conversation. "Leader Chen, is there a need for such excess?" The purple-faced middle-aged man's voice boomed like a bell, matching his domineering aura, although now looking at Chen Yingyuan, his expression was clearly a bit impatient. "It's about the alliance. I hope Brother Hu will understand." Chen Yingyuan was very patient, and after speaking, he immediately fell silent. Chen Yingba and Wu Tangxing, standing beside him, also remained silent, standing quietly. Seeing this, the man with the surname Hu slightly shook his head and also fell silent. Regarding the alliance, hiding on the tree, Xia Hong's eyes suddenly shone brightly. Today is already the end of February, and with just over a month to go until mid-April's alliance, these four came to discuss the matters of the alliance. However, what the middle-aged man with the surname Hu meant by saying unnecessary, Xia Hong still didn't understand. But soon, with the approach of 2 more people from the north, Xia Hong immediately understood what it was about. The 2 people coming from the north, both middle-aged in appearance. The person on the left wore a yellow outfit, small and lean, with rugged features and strangely large fists, a black stick roughly a yard long slung diagonally across his back. The person on the right was just the opposite, tall, handsome, with a slim mustache on his chin, a long sword at his waist. "Wuxiang, pay respects to Lord Hu." "Han Jiulai, pay respects to Lord Hu." The 2, upon reaching the dirt slope, first saluted the middle-aged man with the surname Hu, then turned to look at Chen Yingyuan with a slight smile and spoke. "Old Chen, long time no see." Chapter 473, Chapter 216, Great Medicine Going Out, Turmoil in Longyu Part 3. "Brother Chen, it's been a while." As soon as they spoke, their temperaments were revealed. The short-statured Wu Xing appeared much more sincere, while Han Jiulai seemed slightly more refined. "Brother Wu, Brother Han, it's been a while. Your 2 families truly." In fact, at the moment when he saw the 2 salute Hu Tong, Chen Yingyuan's pupils contracted sharply. He now realized that his inquiry seemed somewhat redundant, and he didn't finish his sentence. "The old alliance leader is getting on in years, the eldest son acts against justice, and the Longyu alliance has long been in name only. Now it's finally the Zhejiang camp taking the lead, and Lord Hu Tong personally comes here. With such sincerity, what are you still hesitating about, Brother Chen?" As soon as Han Jiulai spoke, Wu Xing beside him continued. "It's not just our 2 families. The 3 camps of Xiling, White Abyss, and East Kang have also decided to switch allegiance to Zhejiang. Brother Chen, stop hesitating and join us in overthrowing Long Mountain and building a new alliance." With Zhejiang leading, plus Xiling, White Abyss, East Kang, Wushuang, and Hankyang, there are altogether 6 camps, already half of the camps within Longyu. The addition of the Beehive makes it 7. Even if the remaining 4 steadfastly stand on Long Mountain's side, they won't have a numbers advantage. It seems I really should. Inside Chen Yingyuan's mind, a battle between heaven and man began. He wanted to speak several times, but in the end, the words got stuck in his throat, and he held back forcibly. "Fellows, that is Long Mountain after all. Li Tianyu is strength. Leader Chen, next month is the 48th Alliance meeting. Li Tianyu founded the Longyu Alliance at the age of 50. Have you calculated how old he is this year?" After a long silence, Hu Tong finally couldn't hold back and spoke. He asked with a slight smirk on his face, which rendered Chen Yingyuan speechless. "The Long Mountain Alliance meeting occurs once a year. Li Tianyu founded the alliance at 50 and has experienced 48 alliance meetings. His age is easy to calculate." Hu Tong didn't wait for him to speak and continued. "The cold resistance level can live up to 100, and moreover, as one gets older, the vitality will weaken significantly. Since the meeting 3 years ago, Li Tianyu hasn't appeared in public. What does this indicate, Brother Chen? You should be clear in your heart. Even if Li Tianyu isn't dead yet, how much of his strength can he exert at his age?" At this point, Hu Tong's tone shifted and he said proudly, "My family's leader, Hu, already has the pinnacle strength of the cold resistance level, and he is currently in his prime. Even if Li Tianyu were at his peak now, he might not surpass our leader." Seeing Chen Yingyuan's demeanor start to relax, Hu Tong immediately pressed on with the advantage. "Brother Chen, My family's leader mentioned that once the new Zhejiang alliance is established, for these camps joining early, the annual tribute will be cut in half directly, the share of cold apple jade due will double, and all the mutual protection treaties established by Long Mountain will remain unchanged. What are you still worrying about? Lord Hu, how about giving me some more time to consider? There's just over a month left until the alliance meeting. If I am not mistaken, during this meeting, you all intend to unite and force a coup. I promise to have it all figured out before the meeting. Upon hearing Chen Yingyuan's response, Hu Tong's face was full of impatience, evidently unable to hold back any longer. However, at this moment, Wu Tianxing spoke up. Lord Hu, my beehive has old ties with Long Mountain. It's normal for our leader to be unable to make a decision for the moment. I hope you can give our leader some more time. Upon hearing this, Hu Tong's face froze, then he waved his sleeve sharply and said in a deep voice, "Then Leader Chen, do consider carefully. Before the April Alliance meeting, I hope my family's leader can hear a satisfactory answer. That being the case, I won't linger in the beehive any longer. Farewell." After speaking, Hu Tong turned directly and headed north. Wu Xing and Han Jiulai, who had just arrived, followed behind him and left together. Chen Yingyuan and the other two stood there for a while, and soon turned around and left too. Xia Hong remained on the tree for a full half-hour, ensuring that all of them had gone far, before jumping down with a contemplative look. As expected, there's indeed a problem within Long Mountain. It seems this issue is about to erupt. Marquis Zhejiang and Hu Hu are the key to this problem. Hearing about the Long Yu alliance from Cheng Ping's mouth that day, Xia Hong had some speculations in his heart. What he accidentally witnessed today undoubtedly confirmed his suspicions. The increasingly powerful Zhejiang camp couldn't resist drawing in other camps to overthrow Long Mountain camp and establish their own authority. Xiling, White Abyss, East Kang, Wushuang, Hankyang, with half of the camps already defecting to Zhejiang's side, looking at Chen Yingyuan, he probably isn't far behind. With this view, Long Mountain's chances don't seem good. Of course, today's gains aren't limited to this. Marquis Zhejiang, Hu Hu, pinnacle strength of the cold resistance level. Sure enough, the cold resistance level has its own hierarchy. It's just unknown which stage those people belong to just now. Of the 6 just now, Hu Tong is the strongest, probably having 8 manes. Wu Xing, Han Jiulai, and Chen Yingyuan are similar, all about 7 manes. Wu Tianxing and Chen Yingba are slightly weaker, around 6 manes. With Xia Hong's eyesight, the strength of the 6 just now couldn't be hidden from him. But the content of their conversation didn't involve the division of the cold resistance level, so he couldn't tell which stage they were in. The 100-year lifespan of the cold resistance level is quite close to my previous guesses. Earlier, upon breaking through to the cold resistance level, Xia Hong already had a preliminary sense of his own physical condition. The most thorough change from earth-digging realm to cold resistance level is in the skin membrane. Although the flesh body and internal organs have enhanced, the range isn't significant. Xia Hong had previously deduced his lifespan based on the physical state of people in the camp over 40, and what Hu Tong just said validated his guess. Planning to force a coup at the Long Mountain Alliance meeting, it seems this gathering will be quite lively. Hu Tong's prideful demeanor suggests that Hu Hu is not simple. This kind of indecisive attitude from Chen Yingyuan is not a good thing. When choosing sides, the last thing you want is this kind of hesitation, and moreover. Xia Hong paused in his speech, recalling the exchange just now, a hint of speculation flashing in his eyes. That Wu Tianxing seems to have some issues. As an observer, Wu Tianxing's defense of his leader appeared normal on the surface, but Xia Hong could keenly sense his greater purpose should be to prevent Hu Tong from saying anything impulsive that might influence Chen Yingyuan's decision. This indeed smelled fishy. Xia Hong shook his head, strolling slowly in the snow, pondering what impact this Long Yu upheaval might have on Great Xia. No, it should be what Great Xia can gain from this Long Yu upheaval. Xia Hong's eyes flickered slightly, turning towards the southeastern side of Pinxi Plain, the direction of Great Xia. He quickly had a plan in mind, showing a hint of a smile. The collapse of Long Yu isn't a bad thing for Great Xia. The once solid Pinxi Plain was hard for me to intervene, but if you all are in internal chaos, you can't blame me.